first on YouTube vertical. So bear with me. Take about 60 seconds.
This, because obviously you've had a back and forth with the Supreme Court. In a 9-0 decision, the Supreme Court directed your administration to facilitate the return. You've talked about this in the past of Kilmar Abrego Garcia from a prison in El Salvador, whose deportation your administration called an administrative error. You said in a recent interview you could bring him back, but you won't. Are you defying the Supreme Court?
No, I'm relying on the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, who's very capable, doing a great job, because I'm not involved in the legality or the illegality. I have lawyers to do that, and that's why I have a great DOJ.
Give me a minute, folks. I'm still setting up my last platform. 30 seconds or so, we'll be live. So give me a second.
We have a great one. We had a very corrupt one before. Now we have a great one. And they're not viewing the decision the way you said it. They don't view it that way at all. They think it's a totally different decision.
Well, you say you have the power to bring him back, though. Your attorney general says, quote, that's up to El Salvador. Just to put a fine point on this, do you have the power to bring Abrego Garcia back as the Supreme Court?
Well, I have the power to ask for him to come back if I'm instructed by the attorney general that it's legal to do so. But the decision as to whether or not he should come back will be the head of El Salvador. He's a very capable man.
Well, you know, and your attorney general has said the issue is with that word facilitate. Will you seek clarification from the Supreme Court? Do you need to go back to the Supreme Court?
We may do that. I was asking about that. We may do that.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says
I don't know. It seems it might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials. We have thousands of people that are some murderers and some drug dealers and some of the worst people on earth. But some of the worst, most dangerous people on earth. And I was elected to get them the hell out of here, and the courts are holding me from doing it.
But
wow, that was an interesting back and forth. That is Meet the Press. I'm trying to get my last live stream going up, but I got to give a shout out to that woman because Trump is not an easy interview, and she kind of was rolling with the punches. Not Trump. Trump put her through the rigmarole, but I mean, she did roll with the punches. So shout out to, I cannot think of the woman's name. She replaced Chuck Todd on Meet the Press. So shout out to her for taking that, because Trump doesn't make it easy. Anyhow, folks, let me go ahead and start the live stream. I don't know what's going on with my final platform. It's telling me to rotate the damn thing, and I don't know why it's doing that. Let me just make sure everything is okay. If not, we may have to start that in the middle of the show. So we'll go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy, Tim, the handsome liberal. Okay, we're going to be talking about a host of things, as you may see on the monitor behind me. This is from President Trump Sunday morning. He was on Meet the Press, and in Trump fashion, he said a whole lot of things that are worthy of discussion. In fact, he said so many things that are worthy of discussion, I can't even cover them all here. But I guess I'll start out by asking some of you folks, did any of you folks get a chance to see him on Meet the Press? Now, I'm a big fan of This Week with George Stephanopoulos. That show comes on ABC, but I generally will watch either CBS Sunday Morning or Meet the Press later on. And while watching This Week with George Stephanopoulos, I happened to realize that, wow, Trump is on Meet the Press. So I ended up having to watch both shows back to back. Nevertheless, here we are. Trump said a host of things, and one of them we're going to talk about, because it's a question of do for me and not for thee. Something Trump said. I want you to hear this clip. You know, there's going to always be a host of commentary anytime Trump speaks, and yeah, this one is actually no exception at all, but I will cue it up. I want you to hear this, because this is a question of, is he talking about the difference of thee versus for me?
Particularly, I mean, the fake news was giving me such press on the tariffs. The tariffs are going to make us rich. We're going to be a very rich country.
So let's talk.
Real quick, before we even get into what we're talking about, how many of you folks think that these tariffs are going to lead America to become a very rich country? And when I say very rich, I mean, damn it, you're going to feel. How many of you folks feel like once these tariffs kick in, you personally are going to feel the wealth? We're going to be a very rich country. Think about that. Think about that term, we. I believe that's a pronoun if I'm correct. We. He didn't say I or me. He said we. How many of you folks feel like that once these tariffs kick in, you personally are going to feel the love? Because he said we. Nevertheless, I want you to hear the actual reason we're here, but I did hear him say that. Like I said, he said so much in this interview that I could probably do multiple shows. He said so much. In fact, I got a whole notepad full of shit, and there's no way I can cover it all. But I want you to hear what we are here to discuss, in addition to him saying, we are going to be rich. Not I, not we.
Tariffs. The tariffs are going to make us rich. We're going to be a very rich country.
So let's talk about the tariffs. And I want to ask you about something you said this week. Got a lot of attention. You were at your cabinet meeting. You said, quote, I'm going to quote what you said, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30.
Yeah.
And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. Are you saying that your tariffs will cause some prices to go up?
No, I think the tariffs are going to be great for us because it's going to make us rich.
But you said some dolls are going to cost more. Isn't that an acknowledgement that some prices will go up?
I don't think a beautiful baby girl that's 11 years old needs to have 30 dolls. I think they can have 3 dolls or 4 dolls.
Now, we're going to talk about this. When I say thee, not me, we're talking about President Trump, a man who has his own commercial airliner, whereas he didn't even need to fly in Air Force One. He had his own commercial airliner. If I'm correct, he once stated that the seatbelt buckles on that plane are made of gold. He has gold toilets in his home, yet he is telling a 11-year-old, this fictional 11-year-old, you don't need but 2 dolls to play with. Meanwhile, he is living a life of excess. And by the way, for anybody who might say, well, look, he purchased all of that with his own money. He's also talking about having a military parade at the cost of about $90 million of taxpayer money. Now, he's telling the 11-year-old, you don't need any more dolls, but tell your mom I need a military parade so she needs to go out and work and contribute federal dollars. We're talking about me versus thee. Do you see any hypocrisy in that? The same guy that's telling this fictional child, you don't need any more dolls, is stating that I want to have a birthday party at the cost of millions of dollars to the taxpayer. I suppose there's no mention that, well, you don't need that either, sir. And I'm surprised the interviewer didn't queue up and say that. I'm surprised the interviewer did. Listen, at the end of the day, if we have to struggle, if we have to sacrifice to make the nation great, shouldn't it include all of us? As opposed to the 11-year-old, meanwhile, the president is living a life of love, of lavish luxury? How does that look? How does that look? Now, I want to say this too, because I think this one is kind of comical, but I'll go ahead and read it because when I see comical statements, I think they're worthy of noting. In the comments, Jackie B, as in Bravo, states that he is not even getting a salary. Now, we're talking about President Trump serving as commander-in-chief for the second go-round, and I suppose the indication is because he's not getting a salary, you should leave him alone. Now, this guy is selling everything from Bitcoin to Bibles out of the White House. He is literally selling assets to himself. And we're going to talk about, well, but you know, you don't get a salary, though. Okay, I just thought that was kind of comical. But fact is, Trump is making a killing off of being president. I mean, literally making a killing off of being president. Well, yeah, he's not taking I think the presidential salary is $400,000 or $500,000 per year. Well, he's not taking that. I think just the invite that if you purchase his cryptocurrency, I think you had to purchase 500,000 of his cryptocurrency, you could get a dinner with him or whatever. So he's literally selling assets to himself as the president for each person is paying the annual salary of the presidency. So everyone that showed up to that dinner that he had purchased his cryptocurrency. They had to buy enough to cover the presidential salary that you're bragging that he doesn't make. So I just wanted to bring that up. But I do want to ask you folks, though, the whole doll thing, do you see any hypocrisy about it? Because, you're telling the young kid you don't need any more dolls, and here you are talking about having a birthday party at the taxpayer's expense that is literally tens of millions of dollars. But I want to also run something by you that this one is something that you should perhaps be able to relate to, because it should be something you would be jumping up and down and celebrating if it is indeed happening in your area, in your neck of the woods. And I'll go to taking calls and reading the screen in a moment. But tap the screen for my TikTok viewers. Get the likes up to about 10,000, THOU, 10,000. Tap the screen if you're on YouTube. Feel free to smash that like button. And I want you to hear this, because this might be something that you can relate to if it is happening in your neck of the woods.
With China for things we don't need, for junk that we don't need.
Well, prices are already going up on some popular items. Tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already. Prices are down.
Real quick, why is it anytime someone interviews Trump and it's not 100% favorable, they're fake or they're dishonest? I don't know what she asked him when it was dishonest, but I'll go back a few seconds just so we can hear it again. I have no clue what she would have said that was so dishonest, but he's already tearing her a new one really, really quick into the interview. And I think what she's saying is something that a lot of people probably agree with.
To China for things we don't need, for junk that we don't need.
Well, prices are already going up on some popular items. Tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already. Prices are down on groceries. Prices are down for oil. Prices are down for all energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline. And let me tell you, when you have the big thing, what he did, he spent like a stupid person, which he was, but he spent like a
stupid person, which he was. Guess who do you think he's talking about when he says he spent like a stupid person, which he was? And for all of my beloved MAGA who often talk about Trump derangement syndrome, you can't put a microphone in front of Trump without him insulting President Biden. Just called him stupid right there. Take it as you may, but that is who he's referring to when he says he spent like a stupid person, which he was.
Down on groceries. Prices are down for oil. Prices are down for all energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline. And let me tell you, when you have the big thing, what he did, he spent like a stupid person, which he was, but he spent like a very stupid person. And that was bad for inflation. But what really killed us with inflation was the price of energy. It went up to $3.90, even $4, and in California, $5 and $6, right? Okay. I have it down to $1.98 in many states right now. When you go that much lower on energy, which is ahead of my prediction.
$1.98 per gallon in many states right now. Simply put, is that reflective of what is happening in your area? Trump just stated that he has the price of fuel down to $1.98 a gallon in many, I believe he said many states. Is that what's reflected in your area?
But he spent like a very stupid person, and that was bad for inflation. But what really killed us with inflation was the price of energy. It went up to $3.90, even $4, and in California, $5 and $6, right? Okay. I have it down to $1.98 in many states right now.
$1.98 in many states right now. So I see it now. Where is he getting it from? Now in the comments, someone, Will Sims says that is a wholesale price. Fact is, when Trump says something, wow, you often get the backlash or the coverage like AKA locker room talk. He didn't mean that it was locker room talk or people. That's where the wholesale price came in. I mean, nobody talks about the price of gas in reference to wholesale, but Trump really shoved it in his mouth on this one. and it's clearly something that most of America will tell you is not true. So to clean up what he said, well, he's talking about wholesale price. Who have you ever heard discuss fuel prices economically in terms of wholesale price? That's a number no one can relate to. Nobody talks about the price of gas to the American people, which is what a Meet the Press interview is. These are regular American people watching this. Why would you tell them the price of fuel in wholesale without telling them it's wholesale? Fact is, he was talking about $1.98 a gallon, but once his supporters, his handlers realized he fucked up, well, let's get wholesale out there to help clear this up. So that's where that's coming from. I just want to let you guys know that's where that's coming from. Nobody speaks about fuel in wholesale terms to the American people. That just doesn't happen. Anyway, so we're going to go to the comments because there's a host of things that came out of this interview, and I'm having trouble getting my YouTube horizontal feed up. But also, I wanted to point out something. I should have had the photo up, but I don't have it right now. You know, on the Trump side of the aisle, there's far more Christians likely on the right than there are on the left. They certainly speak more favorably, or they're more outspoken in regards to Christian causes. Catholics, Lutheran, Presbyterian, all of the Christians is far more. I mean, because there's plenty of Democrat Christians. I'm not gonna pretend like there's not a lot of religion on the left, but the right is more religious. Far more religious in terms of policy and expectation than the left. So I have to bring this up, even though I don't have the photo. President Trump posted a picture of himself dressed as the Pope, while people were still mourning the death of the Pope. People are still walking around in tears about the Pope passing away. And here Trump is on social media sending out a picture of himself dressed up as the Pope. Do you find that insulting? And I'm talking particularly to my beloved MAGA. Why is the outcry from that so mild? Do want to talk about this. So I'm going to go straight to the box. $1.85. Is that what you're seeing in your neck of the woods? Start out one of my subscribers, always get them first digs. Miss Mo Better, $1.85. What say you?
I would like to know where that $1.85 or 89 that he speaks of. I would love to. I mean, I might spend a whole tank of gas trying to get there, because I'm sure it's got to be in some red state that has maybe one gas station in it.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
What about the notion? What about the notion, as one of my viewers suggested, that's a wholesale price? It's not the actual gallon; it's the wholesale price.
Well, see, he's gonna have somebody come in there and give him the lowest number of anything, and he's gonna just run with that and keep drilling it into MAGA's head until they believe it. So,
well, I mean, what if that is the lowest number? I can't hate on the guy for giving you the lowest number. If there is a gas station out there, but he kind of fucked it up when he said in a number of states. So it means it's everywhere. And obviously everywhere is not charging $1.98 a gallon, but he's trying to. Somebody in the comments was suggesting it's wholesale. He
blinks lies. Every time he blinks, he lies.
Shit.
Come on now. Come on, tell me he blinks them. So, you know, he ain't even got to open his mouth anymore. He wakes up and he's just, oh shit, what am I lie about today? Because he's not that bright, MAGA. I hate to be the bearer of bad news to y'all, but he's not a bright man. His IQ, he has the IQ of his shoe size.
Well, you know, I've got to put on my MAGA hat and push back and say that.
Put it on.
If he is not that bright, how the hell did he run circles around the Democrats?
Because he had enough money to do so. He had enough money to do so, number one. And a lot of those people that actually support him did not want to see a black woman up there running this country.
Okay, well, let me first correct you. You say he had enough money to do so. Kamala Harris raised over $1 billion. She had more money.
Yeah, she only had 100 days to even campaign, though. So, and she didn't lose by much. Listen, misogyny and racism is why she lost.
So,
and it's because she wasn't qualified, because she's very well qualified.
So let's assume Kamala Harris had been a white woman. Would that have made you think she would have won?
Yeah, because the misogyny is still there.
So you think one of the primary reasons she lost is because she's black or a person of color?
Yep, because that superseded her being a woman.
Well,
I absolutely did. So listen, what I implore you to do is go on I think it's Netflix. It might be Netflix or Hulu, one of them, where it have a show on there, a documentary on there. It's called The Hidden Secrets of the Bible. Let me tell you something. It explains a lot of how these Christian national men operate.
Okay.
And why a lot of stuff is happening the way it does, and how they use the Bible to
but if you're going to
as like a fear tactic.
But if you're going to blame it on the notion that there were racism at play, you got to explain how Trump's support from 2020 to 2024 actually went up among people of color, among black males, and he actually won the Hispanic male vote outright. So when you say it's racism, how do you explain the fact that so many minorities voted for Trump over Kamala Harris?
Because number one, the black men thought they was going to get another stimulus check. Number two, the Hispanics thought that was going to keep them safe from deportation.
So then it's not racism. They had issues they were concerned with.
They had their own issues. But again, racism and misogyny is why Kamala did not win that election. It was not because she wasn't qualified or she didn't have her plans or her ideology. First of all, she wasn't even the president yet. Vice president does little to nothing in that seat.
Right.
They're just there for face. So do you see them going at J.D. Vance like they did Kamala Harris as asking what is her plans or what is her policies? And listen, she was spelling it out to her, but y'all didn't want to hear it because y'all thought Trump was this some type of savior.
I don't know, and I'll tell you why. Because if you're going to say racism and misogyny, I'm going to tell you, and I'm not going to pretend like Kamala Harris's race or her gender helped her out in this race. I'll agree it didn't help her out, but I got to push back under the guys that if Trump had not won the Hispanic vote the way he did, particularly the male vote, and African Americans had actually showed up, Trump would have lost. Because you rightfully point out that numbers wise, Trump didn't win by that much. So
no, you're right. You're right. That's true as well. That's also true. But like I said, one thought they was going to get some. They both thought they were going to receive something that was a total lie to them. So they had so many conspiracy theories going during Trump that the black people that voted for him actually bought into also. Oh, well, they're unaliving the babies and kidnapping children. I don't know if you got too far into.
I don't know about the kidnapping of children, but women. Compared to the Trump administration, the liberals do favor a woman's right to choose, and that is going to lead to the death of babies. I mean, there's no denying that.
Well, that's true. But how many Republicans can you actually say? You can't really compare. You don't know what they are when they're going in there to have ABs done. Well, they just making it's just that the Democratic side highlighted that part of the thing, and it had nothing to just do with AB. They're forgetting about. They're selective. They don't want to hear about the care that women have to receive after having a miscarrying her baby, or just all around women's health. That's what it was about. It wasn't just about ABs.
Yeah, but you do have to acknowledge that thanks to the Republican Party, millions of children that would have been terminated are now going to be born. There's going to be a hell of a lot of children that are going to owe their lives to Trump. I mean, is that not true?
Now, ain't you, Tim? Huh? You fucking with me now because all right, we gonna have these babies born, but when they go to school, some of them won't have meals.
But they'll be
some of them that are born and left in dumpsters. Look how many children are in foster care and things like that right now. Look at how many that this administration don't give a shit about.
But I'm not disagreeing with any of that, Mr. Mobetta, but fact is, now that Trump is in office, those babies in foster care or people don't give a shit about, that baby is alive. So it does have a better chance than it would have if we had to put a liberal in office.
So they want them to die slow. That's what they want you to
do.
Well,
they're not all going to.
They want them to be a victim of a system that the pendulum does not balance in.
Well, understand that every baby that is due to be terminated is not coming from a parent that's dirt poor and is going to let the kids. I mean, in some cases, it may be a mom that actually is from an affluent family that just don't want her family to know who she slept with. So if she's forced to carry that baby to term, the baby will be just fine. So, I mean, Trump, that baby will owe its life to Trump.
But then, and you can still find the baby in the dumpster.
And that so, too, like, yeah.
Listen. There's so many. There's pros and cons on both sides when it comes to that.
Yeah, but
when it comes to that issue, they made it seem like it's just the marginalized people are the ones that are having them, and that's what I'm saying. When they go in there and counting these numbers, how many times did you ask these clinics were they a Democrat or a Republican?
They don't know. But I
exactly.
mean, but one thing we can say. I hear you. You know, listen. I get gangster grandmas in the comments already accusing me of fluffing, but I will say this: because Trump is responsible for rolling back Roe v. Wade in a variety of states, there are going to be thousands of children born. Maybe some will be born into poverty. Maybe some will be born to moms that'll put them in dumpsters, as you're talking about. But the net result is going to be more living children because of Trump than it would have been if we had voted in a Democrat. You don't agree with that?
Oh no! Again, it's still an assumption that when just because they are not allowed, the most of the time the people on the Republican side have a little better way to go than the people that support the Democrats.
What do you mean?
So they feeling that okay, all the poor people are going out there unaliving the babies and stuff like that, but again, how do you know who is who? So what? All right, all of these kids are born now. Now what? Who's supposed to support them when you're cutting the social programs and stuff that a lot of these children depend on?
Yeah, but let's be clear. Every child that is terminated is not a child that was going to go into the system. A lot of them are. I'm not disagreeing with you. No,
I get it. Yeah. I get it, and this is why I don't understand why they were so against it. Like. Listen, I get it. I don't agree with having late term ABs because you decide not to have your child. I don't agree with that either. However, there's women that their lives depend on having to have that procedure done to save her own life. Yeah. You can't criminalize something like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to
disrespectful and disheartening.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like he didn't. The right may not go too far with it, and they
did go too far with it. They did.
Yeah, when you're talking about,
they really did.
Yeah, when you're talking about preventing a woman from terminating a child, even if her life is in danger, you went too far. Now, even though I'm pushing back, I'm 100% pro-choice. Let me make that clear. I'm 100% pro-choice. I don't personally believe anything good comes out of forcing a parent to be a parent when they told you they don't want to be a parent. But
right.
I am going to say that because of what the right did, there are going to be children born that would not have been born if they had not rolled back Roe v. Wade. They have effectively saved some children from being killed. They have done that.
I hear what you're saying, Tim, but again, now what's going to happen to those who can't afford to take care of these children? That was sexually assaulted and became pregnant and were forced to keep their babies. You're talking about so many different branches to this tree.
Well, in regards to the women that may have been a victim of sexual assault and now they're impregnated, and the way the right sees it, being religious, they tend to believe that the unborn did not have anything to do why God created him. So even though it was,
those are part-time religions. You have to be careful. You can't allow everybody to pray for you, Tim, and that's a gem for you. You can't allow everybody to pray for you because we know Lucifer was once an angel too, until he wanted to be king and he got his ass kicked out of heaven.
That's
from
deep.
The story.
That sounds like something my grandmother said. You cannot let everybody pray for. I like that.
You can't let everybody lay hands on you. I'm sorry, you can't, because you don't know what type of spirit that they're operating in. You talking about them offering people $5,000 to have babies and different things like that. $5,000 is not going to cover the bill, even with insurance. Trust me. My daughter just had a baby. Her bill came after insurance was $7,000. So what is $5,000?
I don't know why they're doing it, because they're not talking about offering immigrants $1,000 to self-deport. And once again, you don't even know if your government, when you come home, gonna let you even get off the plane and keep that shit. So
you're gonna be lost out in the water out there. So what are you supposed to? And now, did you see that interview he did and talk about? Well, he don't know anything about the Constitution. When he was asked,
we got it queued up.
Did you see that?
We got it queued up. We're gonna talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But before go ahead.
MAGA, and I want you to bring MAGA Reacts or somebody. No, don't bring him up, because he's just as dumb as a doorknob.
Be nice to MAGA.
Help me understand, because the shit that I saw for a president to get on TV and say, I don't know something about the Constitution, that's the first thing you're supposed to know when you're running for the president.
I believe you say that you take it when you take the oath, when you swear on the Bible, which he didn't do, but I believe that's part of it. Is you're
swearing to the Constitution. You're swearing to uphold the Constitution. So if you don't know what the Constitution is, how are you actually running this country?
Good point. You got a critic, Miss Mo Better. Draco says, Miss Mo Dumber, just stick to January 6th and Project 2025. We'll see you in the midterms. So you got somewhat of a critic. He doesn't.
Tell him he sounds just as dumb as that statement. Shut up.
Well, what think about it though? When he said, "We'll see you," but let me break it down. What he's trying to say is,
because I don't understand. That was a little asinine to me. I'm sorry.
Well, let me help. This is the way I'm interpreting it. He's trying to suggest that the liberals have nothing to run on, and they're gonna keep harping on January 6th. And some of the shit like we've been harping on, and you're going to end up losing in the midterms again because the Democrats just don't have any leader or any platform to run on. That's what he's saying.
That's what he's hoping. But listen, he got the nerve. Nah, he can't really be serious about we ain't got nothing. And they ran on Trump losing that the election was stolen, which caused January 6th.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well,
and he just proved it by even regurgitating it.
Well,
who up here? Did we say anything about January 6th here? I didn't say nothing. Did you?
Not this go round, but I'm sure.
Okay. So tell him to go color or something. We're busy over here.
With the price of a coloring book.
Learn some shit. Learn some shit. Get your head out of Trump's ass. How about that?
Oh shit! All right, Miss Mo Better. You know what I got to do, but I appreciate you coming through.
Yeah. Listen. I yield whatever time I got back to my boy Mike.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Indeed.
All right. Moving on with the program. By the way, tap the screen. Get the likes on up to about 15,000. Let your thumbs not be lazy. I see somebody in the comments. Debo says, Mo Better. Nobody does it better than Miss Mo Better. Fox News viewers have no clue who Roseanne Boylan is. Yeah, who is Roseanne Boylan? I don't even know who that is right now off the rip. Out of context, Tim. She's talking about the I don't know context out of context. Listen to the whole interview. For fuck's sake, that is why we get pissed off with Democrats. Sheldon, listen, I get your point. I understand where you're going with this, but I'm just going to say this. Whatever happened that we like Trump because he shoots straight from the hip. You know, he calls it like he sees it. Why the hell does every time Trump say something, you got to watch 2 hours of him speak to interpret that shit? As if you're in English trying to interpret Shakespeare or some shit. Look, some statements are clear. You don't need to hear an hour of him every time he speaks. Anytime you bring up something Trump said that's controversial, I need to see the whole interview. When Biden fell on stage, did you need to see the whole stage? When Biden got up there and stuttered, did you need to see the entire speech for why no, you took him at face value. When Obama said, if you want your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Did you need to hear the whole speech? Or when he told Joe the plumber about sometimes you got to spread the wealth around. Did you need to hear all of that shit? Sometimes you can hear enough in that little soundbite. You don't need to hear every damn thing to get what's it. And by the way, his Meet the Press interview is well over an hour. And it covers a variety of topics. So there's no way in hell when he talks about a little kid don't need 2 dolls. You know, $30, they only need 2, that you need to hear 40 minutes of speech to understand what the hell he said. It's pretty clear what he was talking about. Anyway, I'm going to move on with the program. I wanted to ask though, in addition to asking about why the hell the Trump sending out a picture of the Pope is not getting all sorts of criticism from the right when they ate up Obama for wearing a tan suit, not wearing a flag lapel pin, and the Democrats having a debate when there was no flag in the background on stage. But yet Trump can send out a picture of him dressed up as the Pope while people are still mourning the death of the Pope. And they don't seem to give a damn about that. Somebody help me understand that, because that doesn't make any sense. But nevertheless, I will go back to the box. Go over to Instagram. By the way, we're live on Instagram as well. Sherbert, I saw you holding a good evening, Sherbert. The left is trolled through life. What's one more day? Well, and that's, for folks who often ask, why the hell, hang on one second, Sherbert. For folks who often ask, why the hell do the Democrats hate Trump so much? Why do you have Trump derangement syndrome? Why do you have a president that takes pleasure in trolling? You do realize that shit comes with consequences. Go back to school and troll your teacher. Go to work and troll your employer. Go to anywhere in life and troll people and see how the response is. It comes with consequences. So if you like your guy trolling Democrats, then you're kind of suggesting that you like folks hating them, because that's where it's coming from. Sherbert, good evening.
Howdy, Tim. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Hanging around like Mike Pence on January 6th. So asking the question once again, now Trump is touting that, an 11-year-old don't need $30. You heard him say that, and he's suggesting that she only needs $2. Meanwhile, the same guy that's telling America we need to cut back is talking about having a parade in honor of his birthday that might cost tens of millions. Some folks said as high as $90 million. So why isn't he cutting back as well?
There's no good answer other than he's a billionaire, and I remember during the whole campaign, he was spending like $700,000 on a hairstylist.
Damn, really?
I'm pretty sure that was the number. But so a man who's willing to spend that, and I think another $500,000 on Melania's hairstylist to go around with them.
Well, in defense of Trump, that was not tax money. That would have been campaign funds or something like that. But this parade is our money.
But the understanding of what money is actually worth and why we don't do these things on average.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand, and I don't think he honestly could understand from the way he grew up to the way he's acted for the last literally 15 to 20 years.
I would like to know what hairstylist.
By what they say.
I would like to know what hairstylist is charging 700 G's for that fucking haircut. I mean, what is he? He walking around with Vidal Sassoon with him or something?
I mean, flights are kind of expensive, so I'm assuming a lot of that is in there. But I don't know, Tim. Billionaires don't really care about money, and
because if you because you could damn near get somebody to do you could get a top-notch stylist to do your hair damn near for free if you're putting them up on Air Force One and putting them up in posh hotels just for the actual notoriety of saying I did the president's hair. You wouldn't have to pay him a whole lot of money to do it, because just the praise and fame that comes along with doing it.
It is iconic hair, but I remember seeing a video, I think today or yesterday, that was one simple question to ask Republicans. Oh, what does Doge do? Well, we're saving all this money. Mm-hmm. Okay, why is the government spending more this year than we did last year? Yep. And then they look it up and it's totally off of what it was last year. And there is no real answer to that other than Trump has always had a deficit spending year. Every year he was in office, he spent more money than he brought in. 100%.
I would also add that chances are once we actually do a real financial analysis, we're going to probably find out a lot of the stuff that Doge said they were saving money on didn't happen. So if you tally up all of the shit they posted on the website, all of the stuff that Elon Musk said he saved money on, and keep that number in memory, once all is said and done, that number is going to be way higher than what really happened.
They have not been transparent the entire time, so this is not a shock to me at all. So I don't know what Maga Reacts is going to say, but I'm sure it's going to be frustrating.
Why does MAGA? I got to get more MAGA to the show, because MAGA Reacts is trying. I don't even know if he's listening right now.
Jeremy's pretty bad too, but he can sometimes come back from the edge. But Maga Reacts always goes right to the edge and doesn't even take a step back. And he's shown himself at least 20 times that I've seen. I'm not like harping on him because I really hate him. It's because he always, every time I've listened to you, Tim, goes to the worst possible empathy side of the question. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. We're gonna.
I mean, listen, he supports Trump.
Say he sucks.
Well, I mean, he supports Trump, and there's nothing wrong with that. He just simply has a difference of opinion. He supports Trump.
But his difference of opinion is always angry and screw you, I got mine. Have you? I mean, that's what I feel. And
well, I mean, that ain't something unique to him. That's kind of the motto of the current party. I mean,
100%, but he's so goddamn vocal about how shitty he is.
I'm not hearing all of that. Oh, Maga Reacts, is he really that tough?
When Michael comes up, he's going to say the exact same thing.
And I see Mike in the comments.
Willfully ignorant right now.
Listen. Like I said, MAGA has a difference of opinion. Maga Reacts has a difference of opinion, but I don't know if it's as harsh as you're saying.
Let's go on to the Pope, because I don't want to just rip on your other callers the whole time. That's not really.
Well, yeah, give me your take. The Pope thing. Listen, in my opinion, and I'm not very Catholic, but my opinion is folks should be a little bit more upset than they're leading on. But it doesn't sound like the right is really concerned about it.
To be fair, I don't like religion very much, so I'm not super upset about this. But there is a decorum that the White House Twitter should have, right?
Yeah.
Instead of sending out memes and jokes and,
trolling.
Yeah.
What is he doing? Trolling the Catholics now?
I don't understand why. It doesn't make sense to me when these people, when you think about the grandpas, living out in Tennessee or wherever, and just, go Trump, and this is what they want to be represented as. I don't feel like that's been the culture for the last 40 years, and all of a sudden, this is okay.
But let me ask you, I gotta ask this question. DJ Julio, I appreciate that. There's another fan of yours, DJ Julio. You might like DJ Julio. Well, he's just so support for the program right now. We'll bring him up soon. But one of the other things, I guess, with the whole Pope thing is kind of lost my train of thought. But I'm just, we've heard all of these criticisms, like I said, of Zelensky showing up to the White House dressed improperly and all of that. But the idea that Trump does this, what I was going to ask is, does the Democratic Party suck that bad that no matter what Trump does, there's a hell of a lot of voters that are still going to, because his popularity is still higher than the Democrats right now. Does the Democrats suck just that much?
I would say it's more if we're in the soft voice, we're going to stand in the middle and go watch somebody trip over a curb and smack their head into something. We're not the loud, boisterous, we're going to roll coal on somebody driving a Prius. We're not those assholes.
I mean,
it's a little quieter. At least as far as I see it. I
mean, I get all of that, but Trump is doing all sorts of controversial shit. And his numbers...
He's a toddler, Tim. He's not going to listen. And you have seen that. The Supreme Court 9-0 opinion doesn't mean shit. So what are we going to say? That's
not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that Trump is doing all sorts of controversial shit, and yet his numbers are still more favorable than the Democrats. The Democrats are making sure the world knows when Trump does controversial shit, and yet he still continues to outperform them in the polls. What the hell is going on? And not only that, but even he's doing it at a time when even the economy numbers are not that great. And he's still beating the Democrats. How is that happening?
Well, I was thinking about this today. Is that even though he's having horrible interviews lately, he's constantly doing interviews. And he always has to have his face out there, even if he's speaking nonsense. When Joe Biden had a bad performance, he went away for a month or two before we saw him again.
Hiding in his basement.
I would love for Trump to hide more just because there won't be so much for my brain to have to interpret into what actual real world is going to do with it.
But that might, but in addition to you're right, he likes to be on TV, but what about the notion that some folks like having a president that is, and I'm gonna put this in quotes, that is transparent, that talks to the people. DJ Julio, thank you. Some folks like having a president that talks to the people. Is that not a good thing?
There's levels to everything, right, Tim?
Yeah.
And yes, he does talk to the people, but is he really saying anything? Like going after Hollywood in these most recent tariffs. My problem is with his vocabulary and how he talks to people. And for some reason, the MAGA people really like that. And it just drives me crazy because it doesn't make any real sense when you listen to him more than 5 minutes.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I'm going to admit that Trump
he never says any facts. It's always bullshit.
That's not true.
I can't listen to lies.
Sherbert, that's not true. I'm not going to deny that Trump says a lot of things that are not true when he speaks, but he also says a lot of things that are true, and he gives you a good insight on the direction he plans to take this country in. Now, you may not agree with it, but fact is, when he talks about closing the Board of Education, or right now he's talking about 100% tariff on Hollywood movies that are not made in America. I mean, he's letting you know that. Now, like I said, we may totally disagree with his direction, but fact is, he comes out in front of the people and he lets them know his vision for the country. Something Biden was not. Hell, I don't even know if Obama was doing it to the level of Trump. I mean, but Biden certainly was not.
We don't need the president to be on TV even once a week. I don't understand why we need this dictator shit of having like, hey, you have to turn on your radio now to listen to Trump speak for an hour. At least that's where it feels like where we're going. Jesus, he wants everyone to hear him talk.
I vehemently listen. Even though I may be center left, I vehemently disagree with you. I'm gonna tell you this: when Obama was in office, the left loved seeing him as much as possible. If all of a sudden Bernie Sanders was president, the progressives would love having him on TV talking about tax the rich and hold people accountable as much as possible. They wouldn't be talking about he only needs to be on TV once a week. You don't want him on TV because you don't agree with nothing he's saying. That's what it is. You don't like what he's saying.
But I didn't like when Biden had his bad performance. I didn't like hearing all the rambly bullshit from Biden either. When people don't make sense, like everyone loved Obama because he was so great at speeches. If we heard Obama speaking as much as Trump, at least it would be more coherent. That's my biggest problem. Trump
is coherent. Like I said, he's not always factual.
Coherent. You're flying right there, you fluffing motherfucker. He's not coherent. He doesn't know what he's talking about every time.
So for you folks on TikTok and YouTube that can't see him, I said Trump is coherent. He gave me the middle finger. No, Trump is coherent. He just sometimes kind of stretches the truth.
Tim, when you listen to people read back his exact transcripts, it sounds like a 5-year-old. And we've seen examples of this over and over by the talk show hosts. And yes, they're generally putting a comedic spin on things. But when it's his direct transcripts and it doesn't make any sense, I don't know what to tell you other than these people are in a cult and want to hear his voice and tone.
I'm watching an hour interview of Trump on Meet the Press. By the way, has Biden ever done that at all? I'm watching Trump do an hour interview. Huh?
I don't know, and I didn't care enough to worry about it.
Why? Why would you not care that your president, the leader of the free world, is not talking to the people? Wouldn't you want to know if that man is healthy or not?
How many breaking news announcements have we heard over the last 100 days versus Biden's entire fucking term? When it's constant chaos, it doesn't make it a good thing.
Well, yeah, Trump can be chaotic, and yeah, there's a bunch of breaking.
Constant. It's every day you turn on your feeds to see what is the breaking news, because there's going to be breaking news of something stupid.
I don't know if it's always stupid. I mean, do you think his securing the border is stupid?
That's the one thing you got, Tim. The border's the one goddamn thing you can come back at me with.
That's huge.
I'm tired of fighting back against that one thing. I'm not giving an inch anymore. When these people refuse to understand that he lost the 2020 election, if they won't admit that, I'm not giving a fucking inch on the border anymore.
They're not going to admit that, okay? I'll give you that. The right is not going to admit that.
I won't give him the border anymore. I refuse to give an inch when they're taking a goddamn mile. They're taking 4 years of a mile. Now, tell me I'm wrong there, Tim.
I can't. They're not going to. The right believes that Biden stole the election. You're not going to get them to change their mind on that. I don't know. I don't think there's anything you can do about that. And I don't think they need any proof at all. Trump said it was stolen, and that's all they need. So I've had a million lives, a million conversations on that. The right is going to be. They're adamant that Trump won that election, and it's solely based on what Trump told them. They don't really need much more than that. So there's not much I can speak on that.
Have you seen this new talking head, Banya something? She's been on all the Piers Morgans and CNN and stuff lately. And she's a talking head for Trump lately. She's a new one, Banya something.
No. I think somebody, was her name Roseanne something?
No, her first name is Banya. I just don't know what the last one is. She's a new correspondent in the political scene.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
On Trump. And I've listened to a couple of her interviews, and she says she's a leftist. But she won't.
A leftist that's going around defending Trump?
Well, that was the previous interviews before he got elected. Okay. And then she finally flipped over and admitted it. Kind of like how Tim Pool does. But I can't give them an inch when these people who will lie and say they're in the middle and on the left, but won't admit reality anymore, when they won't even say that Trump clearly lied and had the false electors or any of these other things. And we keep bringing it up because it's the most clear example of clear lawlessness. But facts don't matter. And I don't know what to do anymore when they call us libs and, cucks and whatever, but they won't actually admit reality. I'm just about done with everything about this.
Well, and that's why I said for them, Trump having the election stolen from him is their reality. If Trump says it.
Steal. People didn't like him because of COVID and how he ran the country. More people voted against him. There is no evidence that anything was stolen. The 10,000 Mules guy admitted it was a lie after Trump got reelected.
Yeah.
I'm imagining a lot of Maga Reacts and Jeremy's and DJ Julio's don't know that because it still comes up in conversation. But the guy who made the movie said it was a lie after Trump got reelected. So what are we talking about? What base of evidence is there to say that Trump is ever telling the truth on any of their major topics? But have a great night, Tim. I'm tired of yelling at you.
All right. It's always a pleasure, man. Listen, sometimes politics can be passionate. Always a pleasure having you on, man. My door's open to you anytime. Sherbert, thank you. All right, moving on with the program. And I see in the comments somebody said, you're right. He's right. All right, moving on with the comments, with the show, rather. Tap the screen, by the way. Somebody brought this up before I go on to the next caller. So I think it is worthy of discussing. Like I said, I don't have any idea why the right is not going apeshit. Can you imagine Obama tweeting out a picture of him as the Pope while people were still mourning the death of the Pope? Tell me there's no hypocrisy in how the right is handling that. We can talk about any other subject, but in regards to how the right is quiet about what Trump did with that Pope picture, it's, the silence is loud as fuck, because for a fact, if Obama, Kamala Harris, or even Biden did something like that, the right will be going ape shit. Trump does it, and it's almost viewed as a joke. I mean, listen, if the guy was dead for a year or two, people are still mourning his death, and Trump is already doing that on the presidential account.
Or to ask for him to come back if I'm instructed by the Attorney General that it's legal to do so. But the decision as to whether or not he should come back will be the head of El Salvador. Is a very capable man.
Well, and your Attorney General has said the issues with that word facilitate. Will you seek clarification from the Supreme Court? Do you need to go back to the Supreme Court?
We may do that. I was asking about that. We may do that.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says
I don't know. It seems it might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials.
Here's the question.
We have thousands of people that are some murderers and some drug dealers and some of the worst people on earth. Some of the worst, most dangerous people on earth. And I was elected to get him the hell out of here, and the courts are holding me from doing it.
But even given those numbers that you're talking about, don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said.
Why would you answer now when you become president? And Trump has done this twice. You swear on the Bible. He didn't swear on the Bible the second time, but he certainly repeated the oath. You literally say right in the oath that you swear to uphold the Constitution. Why would he be saying this late in the game he doesn't know in regards to the Constitution? Why would he answer a question like that? So, I mean, that is what everyone is talking about, because he's making it sound like he doesn't know if he would follow the Constitution or not. Then why did you take the damn oath?
The hell out of here, and the courts are holding me from doing it.
But even given those numbers that you're talking about, don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know.
Why doesn't he know that? You need to uphold the Constitution. Why would you answer a question like that with "I don't know"? And of course, I'm going to ask the same question as last time. Why isn't the right going apeshit about that answer? Going back to the box, he doesn't know if he needs to uphold the Constitution. I've never heard a question answered that way by a commander-in-chief. DJ Julio, I don't know what happened to him, but I'll move the program on. Looking in the comments here real quick while we're doing that. Will G, Signature Move says, Trump ain't shit. I'm telling you, he is whispering into someone's ear at the Vatican. Some MAGA nutcase was on video saying that 3/5 compromise was not racist. Wow. But to make everyone equal. You're saying that he is whispering into someone's ear at the Vatican. A MAGA nutcase is on video at the Vatican saying that the 3/5 compromise was not racist. I hope you're wrong on that. That's terrible. That's terrible. And then coming, Sean Herbert says they lost their shit about the Olympics. You know, in regards to the Olympics, I could also bring up the World Cup is supposed to be hosted here next year. Would it be safe to do that right now with so many people coming in this country from abroad and being held up by customs and things like that? You know, when the athletes come here, a lot of the citizens from those countries come here as well. Would you really want to come to the United States right now when they're talking about rebuilding Alcatraz and all of this shit? I don't know. To me, it seems like FIFA or whoever hosts the World Cup probably should rethink that one. I mean, you know, a hell of a lot of folks are not coming here to go to Disney World. They're not coming here to go to Vegas anymore. Canadians are not coming to the country. And I mean, I'm going to pull the race card. Them are white people that are saying they're not coming here. You want to come over here from Brazil? You want to come over here from, you know, Papua New Guinea or Fiji or something like that to watch your athlete participate? You might not be going home. You better set up some insurance. Let me go back to the box, continuing on with the program. Egg prices, everyone wants eggs. They tell me big, beautiful eggs. Egg prices are down 87%. That's not true, said John C. Egg prices. And speaking of which, DJ Julio, good evening.
How you doing?
Why is Trump giving numbers that are completely false?
What numbers are he giving that's false?
I'll give you an example. You let me know if this is happening in your area. This is Trump on Meet the Press yesterday.
No, wait a minute. Okay, you're talking about the energy prices.
We're talking about gas.
He says energy. Play the clip.
Fake news was giving me such press on the tariffs. The tariffs are going to make us rich. We're going to be a very rich country.
So let's talk about the tariffs. And I want to ask you about something you said this week.
And real quick, I am aware that he does say energy, but you tell me when energy is being sold for $1.85.
That's how it goes across the grid, but it's charged at a barrel rate or at a.
Yeah, we talk about fuel in terms of per barrel. We talk about fuel in terms of per gallon. We never talk about fuel in any other way to the American people. So what is he talking about at $1.85?
I'm not sure what energy. I tried to Google it, but then I got home and I didn't give a shit anymore. I saw your little
That's real, but Julio, that $1.85 is real close to the price we pay for fuel at the pump. He's just about 50 cents lower than what it should be. I think that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about it. I understand you're trying to go other ways with it. Go ahead.
You could assume that. I could assume that he's talking about electricity.
Why don't we know?
My electricity is $7, $8. Wintertime it was $10, $11. Now it's like $5, $6 a day. So maybe he's talking about on a kilowatt. It's $1.98 a kilowatt or whatever the hell he's talking about.
When do you see any politician on television telling the citizens about the price of a kilowatt of energy? Nobody talks about energy in terms of kilowatt to the American people.
No president says more than he does. He talks more than any other president that has ever been in that office.
Right.
He has more rallies, more meetings, more interviews. He says it all. Whatever he's talking about as far as energy consumption goes or energy goes is probably right.
Yeah, I
would like to know as well.
But then he continues on to say under Biden it was up to $5. It's pretty clear what he's talking about. What he says in California, everybody knows the price of gas in California hovers around $5 a gallon because I used to be an over-the-road driver. It's pretty clear what he's talking about. It's just that he went overboard, told a lie, and you're trying to find ways to make it sound like something else. He said he got it down to $1.85, and under Biden it went up to as much as $3 and something, and even $5 in California. He's talking about per gallon. It's pretty clear that that's what he's doing.
I can make an assumption, but you know what they say about assuming.
Kilowatt, huh?
I don't know.
Kilowatt.
I don't know. I just want it to be factual. He's talking about $1.98 for energy. You can call it fuel. You can call it whatever the hell you want.
Right. He's talking about kilowatts.
Well, hell, I don't even know what a kilowatt is, to be honest with you.
Exactly. No politician.
My brother's the electrician. My brother's the electrician, not me.
Yeah, well, let me play the clip because I see some folks in the comments hasn't seen it, and I will just say before I play it, I've never heard a politician talk to the American people about how much kilowatts cost in energy, but I'll play it.
Well, psychologically, the fake news was giving me such press on the tariffs. The tariffs are going to make us rich. We're going to be a very rich country.
So let's talk about the tariffs. And I want to ask you about something you said this week. Got a lot of attention. You were at your cabinet meeting. You said...
and I got it. I'm in another video I want to talk about, but I want to move this up a little bit because we may hear more than we need to.
But you're basically saying there could be some supply shortages because of the tariffs.
To waste money on a trade deficit with China for things we don't need, for junk that we don't need.
Well, prices are already going up on some popular items. Tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already. Prices are down on groceries.
What was dishonest about that? You don't think prices are up on stuff?
Nothing that's made in America.
Most things are not made in America, Julio.
Well, we're going to change that, aren't we?
So when she says prices are up, she's not talking specifically to made it. She's talking about shit people go to the store and buy. That's just, Americans don't generally go to the store and purchase stuff that says made in America. They buy stuff that they can afford.
Right, but he explains why all that's going to drop here shortly.
He doesn't explain how people are going to be able to afford it shortly, though.
Well, if prices go down, it means you can afford it, right?
Why would the price go down?
Because when you ship stuff and you move stuff and you deliver stuff to different states and different areas and different stores and different things, all of that gets freaking a little bit of a freaking markup. All of it gets marked up.
Where's it starting from?
The manufacturer.
Where's the products originating from?
Wherever the manufacturer's at. If we're getting eggs from freaking China, that's retarded. We have farms like crazy up in South Dakota. You guys start freaking giving a shit about your local farmers, and we'll have
eggs. Oh. Well, I'm not saying eggs, but I'm saying like everything from the clothes you wear, car parts and things like that. That stuff does not come from America. It comes from overseas.
No, but with the tariffs, like he's going to tell you, with the tariffs, eventually China's going to cave a little bit. They're going to start bringing manufacturing back to the United States. They've already brought over trillions in dollars of manufacturing that's going to start. It hasn't started yet. For those of you that are like, where's it at? It's not here yet. You got to build the plant. You got to freaking hire the people.
How long does that take? How long does that take?
It might take a year. It might take a year. It took me a year to start my business, and I'm a plumber.
Yeah, I want, and I see somebody in the comments said, "Dude, the raw materials to do that are not even here." But I will tell you this: would you bring your business back to America under the Trump administration, where he's making wild swings and changes overnight? I mean, he may tell you. Hold on, he may tell you something that's favorable that you can bring your business and manufacturing back today, and he might get pissed off at somebody and make a complete change tomorrow. Would you really build a whole factory while this guy is still in office making those wild swings like that?
He's not as unhinged as you guys try to make him sound.
What?
Yes, I would, because I tell you what, if I'm a shoe manufacturer and I'm making Julio shoes, we're going to be all gold with a T and an H on them, just for Trump and Julio. If I'm making those shoes and I'm making them in China using the blood, sweat, and tears of children, then he tells me I'm going to have to pay a 200% tariff if I want to keep selling those shoes in America. Fucking A, I'm bringing those shoes back to America. I'm going to make them right damn here. It's going to cost about the same because I'm not going to have the cheap labor. I'm not going to have all the expense of all the other shit. It's going to equal itself out eventually.
Yeah, basically, listen, if he was stable in some of the things he says, I might be more inclined to agree with you. But when you tell the American people, I am not going to suspend the tariffs for 90 days, and you say that on television, and then the next day you suspend the tariffs, how can you possibly move a manufacturing plant over here based on that kind of stuff? Or you say that you're going to tariff China 67%, they put retaliatory tariffs on American goods, and the next day he's up to 145%. How can you make any plans when somebody is moving stuff around like that?
You just got to start. You got to start somewhere. And what are you talking about? If he is suspending tariffs, that means he's stopping tariffs.
But the day before, he said he wasn't going to do it. He was asked, "Are you going to suspend it?" He was adamant he wasn't going to do it.
Well, then maybe he decided it was time to suspend them.
And you want to build, you want to build a multi-million-dollar manufacturing plant on somebody who just decides on a whim he's going to do something different.
If I'm living in America and I'm surviving and thriving off the blood, sweat, and tears of other people, I shouldn't have a company. One. Number two, you asked me as a person. I would rather have my manufacturing in the country I live in. If I live in Mexico, I want my manufacturing in Mexico. If I live in Guatemala, or if I live in Egypt, or if I live in Australia, that's where I want my manufacturing. I want my country to thrive off of my business, not everybody else.
Yeah, that's not capitalism.
You're asking me.
Yeah, because that's not capitalism. If our capitalists in this country thought like you, then we never would have this problem to begin with. It ain't like China forced us to move our manufacturing over there. It went over there because people didn't give a damn about who made the product. They wanted it made for as cheap as possible, and those were Americans.
Right.
So yeah, maybe that's your mindset.
What is that called?
Greed.
Called greed.
Greed.
Yes. So what Trump is doing is putting a fucking cigarette of greed out on the world right now. He is done with all the bullshit. We're going to make money in America. We're going to be rich. We're going to maybe not be rich. We're going to be wealthy again. Oh, hold on a second. Ask DJ Julio what he's going to do when his plumbing materials go up. My plumbing materials come from an American first plumbing house. Just so you are aware, I live in South Dakota. The supply house only supplies American-made products.
You might get lucky. I mean, listen,
No, that's not lucky. They chose to only supply American-made.
No. When I say you might get lucky, I mean there's some areas. Like I'm in the medical community. I'm not affected by what he's doing. Some people are going to be fortunate that they're not going to be affected. You might work in an industry where it's easy to find the tools of the trade that are made in America. But there are other industries where it's like any auto manufacturing industry. I mean, there's so much stuff that comes from overseas. It's going to really hurt them significantly. I mean, so it just depends. You might be lucky in the industry you're in.
And I get that. I get what you're saying. And here's a little food for thought for you. I'm switching ear things here. Mike just died on me. Can you still hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. All of my stuff it's American made. If you go to Lowe's, if you go to Menards, if you go to an Ace Hardware, we have those around here. I don't know what your Big Lots or whatever your store is in your area. If you go to them stores, you're buying China-made products. You're buying Mexican-made products. If you go to a reputable plumbing wholesale house, all of the materials, or the majority of the materials, and some of them, not all of my supply houses are strictly American-made. But the one that I go to, that I have my accounts with, are all American-made products.
Is there a price difference?
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper. If you go to one of your big box stores, Lowe's, Menards, etc.
Okay. Is there a quality difference?
Absolutely. It's about £1.50 on a bathroom faucet.
Damn. Okay. Like I said, I mean, there are going to be some industries like that, but the fact is, most Americans are trying to stretch their dollar as far as they can. And that's how this whole thing got started, is because Americans are willing to pay. Americans are willing to sacrifice some quality if you can cut the price enough. And if all of a sudden they have to buy American-made products, but they're not making any increase in salary. And keep in mind, Trump ain't talking about increasing salaries at all. I mean, you guys are not for a minimum wage increase. You're not for increasing the reliability of healthcare. You're not for tuition, for giving any of this stuff. Any of the stuff that might help people stretch their dollar for. You're not for any of that. You're just telling them we're going to make these products here in America and you're going to buy them, and they're going to cost you more. So I don't see how this is not going to hurt the American people. That's why he's telling you about you can buy 2 dolls instead of 11, and you got to pay more for the 2. That doesn't sound like a great outlook.
It's simple economics, and capitalism is a big part of it. And you are right with what you were saying. But what you're missing is, if I have four manufacturing spots in the United States that are making, we're going to use my plumbing as an example, just because it's easy. I know a lot about it. If there's only 4 manufacturers in the United States, places that I can get American-made products, it's going to be a certain price. It's going to be more expensive than your big box stores. Okay, that's where we're at. Now, what happens when those 4 turn into 12 different manufacturers of my plumbing products that I can get in America? That price is going to equal back out. It's going to drop back in price.
But Julio,
the competition is in America. It's going to take us a year, maybe 2.
You really think all this can happen in only a year's time?
Look how fast he's already got us back hundreds of billions of dollars from wasted government.
Julio, listen, that's the whole Doge, Elon Musk, and all of that stuff. I'm not going to throw Elon.
All I'm saying is look how fast things are moving already.
No, and I'm countering, and
because it's moving really fast.
And I'm countering with, they're telling you that. They're not showing you that. Anybody can. Trump is talking about gas costs $1.85 a gallon in many states. That's not true. And that's what I'm saying is, I'm not throwing Elon Musk under the bus, but what I'm saying is they have celebrated a whole lot of accomplishments while proving none of that stuff. You're giving them credit for all this stuff. You ain't seen proof of none of this stuff. They're telling you this stuff. It may not be true.
Well, it may be.
So
they showed on the Doge website. They showed on the Doge website.
Yeah, I'm sure the Doge website is the Doge website is coming from the same people that's telling you that they're saving all this money. I mean, the Doge website has already had to remove stuff because it turned out not to be true. The stuff Elon Musk is saying, a lot of it is either turned out to be false or has been unfounded.
That's what you read. I guess I don't read that.
Right. You haven't read any sites that's showing you evidence that is absolutely true, though. You're reading sites that are giving him credit for all of the waste he's finding, but the sites that are doing that are not showing you that we looked into it and we verified this was actually true. They're just taking their word for it.
I'm going to continue to take his word for it. What I can see and what I can read is what I'm going to listen to.
And you take his word that $1.85 is the price in multiple states?
It's actually $2.12. I looked it up.
So in other words, he's lying by
There's like 10 states that's like $2 to $2.25.
Right. So he's lying by as much as 40 cents. I mean, that's big. That's a significant lie. That's like 20-30% wrong.
Right. Well, that's what you see at the pump. But what is it before it hits the pump? That's where that price.
Nobody talks about Julio. No one talks to the American public about how much the price of gas is before it hits the pump. Nobody talks in that language.
Well, nobody talks in Trump language. So now we have someone who does. That's somebody. What else can I say to that? You're right. But what else can I say that? We have somebody who's finally in the office telling us shit that we probably should know how it all works.
Yeah, he's the $1.85, Julio, was an obvious reference to how much he thought gas was per gallon. He's not talking about per kilowatt or per distributed gallon. He's talking about per gallon because he follows up and says it was $5 in California. He's talking about that and he's lying about it.
I mean, if you assume that his energy's talked about is gas. If you assume that, you're right.
Okay. I mean, I don't know any other level of energy where somebody says it's $1.85 to the American people. It's pretty clear what he's talking about is gas.
Well, what I'll do for you is I'll go do the government work. I'll go back and I'll Google my search, and I'll find out what he was talking about when he was talking about the low energy prices, and maybe I'll get an answer. And if I do, I'll send it to you.
All right, Julio, as always.
That's all I can do for that. I mean, I don't know what else.
I don't think you're gonna come up with anything significant, but feel free to do it. Send me what you got, and we'll talk about it on the next show.
I want to tell Michael quick type what he wants to ask me, and then I'll answer him. Michael, type what you want to ask me, and I'll answer you.
I'll give it a quick minute, and real quick in the comments. Hold on a second, Julio. Republican Indiana Governor Mika Beckwith was the nutcase talking. Oh, really? Was he in Rome? Talking about the 3/5 compromise not being slave-driven or racist. It's a whole video. MAGA ain't shit. And it says, the idea that the 3/5 compromise was not racist, that would be worthy of a. That's insane. That's insane.
He wants you to bring him up.
That's insane. That's kind of like the whole notion that the Civil War was not about slavery and all this other shit. Some people say some crazy shit, but I'll give you guys a few minutes to play around. I do got to move it on. You notice Trump is never specific on what he says. Sean Herbert, I think you hit a home run tonight with that. Mike, what's your point?
What's going on, Tim? Hey, quick thing for Julio. So Julio, you're a plumber by trade, right?
Yep.
Based on your logic about believing Doge but not seeing the results of what they say you say, would you produce your customers a savings on the work you're doing for them and not show them?
I would just make it cheaper. I don't know that I would go on there and bid out a job and say that, oh, by the way, I'm giving you 15% off because prices dropped. I would just make it cheaper. I don't think that I would explain it. No.
But have you ever went and done a job and bidded the job and then went in and realized it was going to be cheaper than what you said and gave them the cheaper price and you showed them why it was cheaper?
Absolutely.
So, but why would you do that to your customers? But you don't expect those to do that for us.
I'm not them. I'm me. I mean, you got a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, but you wouldn't have
that's just how I work.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have a customer base. Well, that sounds like integrity in your business.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say so.
That's all I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
All right, Julio. Appreciate you coming through, man.
Yes, sir.
Anytime. All right, Mike. Good evening. Welcome to the show. Okay. Sometimes I let you guys. He actually did not dispute what you were saying because you made a good, eloquent point about it. Like I said, it's the integrity.
You know why, Tim? Because there's nowhere to go with that logic. Sometimes you got to take people out of the politics and bring it back into their personal life and say, would you apply the same integrity or lack thereof in your personal life that you're accepting in this political sphere? And he couldn't say he would do that because he got a customer base. He wouldn't do to his customers what he's allowing Trump and Doge to do to us with no explanation. That's why I asked the question that way.
I mean, sometimes we do that on the show that way. You just happen to get a step forward. It wasn't on my mind to do it that way. But yeah, I totally agree with you that sometimes you got to put a person you got to actually take them outside of politics and let them look at it from a like I say, I'm able to play devil's advocate. I can step outside of the square from whatever my political leanings are sometimes and see things through somebody else's lens. And you put it in his eyes from a business standpoint. And like you said, there's nowhere to go with it. But why do you think there is so
business?
Huh?
They're always talking business, but go ahead.
Yeah. Why do you think there are so many folks that just simply take the word of Elon Musk with the say? I mean, because he's not I've talked to dozens of people who brag about how Elon has saved us tons of money, and why are the Democrats more upset with Elon than the folks that were ripping us off of all this money? And my response always is, I haven't seen proof that they're actually ripping us off. But the right is just taking their word, whether it is we stopped sending money for condoms in Africa or some of this crazy stuff they were coming up with. And it's like, this stuff ain't true. You just believe in whatever they tell you.
Look, Tim, that's because people don't want to accept the things about them that they know aren't right or that they're just inherent, right? I mean, think about this. I mean, Julio was trying to spin himself into like Charlotte's Web shit about Trump saying, I don't know. Well, I need to get the context. And then when he's talking about $1.98, when he's talking about kilowatts, I'm like, he can't spell kilowatts, right? And so, because to accept what he said and then have to answer that,
yeah,
just like I just asked him about his business. If he would have said, they would just need to trust me. My customers would just need to trust me. He couldn't take himself down that rabbit hole, because then he knows now he's really full of shit.
Yeah, it would look bad. It would look bad.
It would look really bad, and he can't say that.
Well, the idea that he or someone would try to suggest that when Trump said that fuel was at $1.87, and by the way, I'm looking at some of the actual closed caption on the conversation going, he actually did use the word gasoline as well. So he didn't just say energy. He actually uses the word gasoline. And like I said, he's talking about, it was $5 in California under Biden. It's pretty clear he's talking about the price of a gallon of gas. He's not talking about kilowatts of electricity or something crazy where Julio was trying to go with it. He's not talking about the distribution cost, which everybody talks about fuel either in the price of a barrel of oil, when you're talking about OPEC and some of the international shit, or you're talking about it price per gallon. Nobody talks about the distributor cost. That just, you've never heard anybody talking that language. And Trump don't know what the distributor cost is.
He can't spell kilowatts, distributor, distributor, or he can't spell none of that shit. The sad part about this is, and I watched that whole Meet the Press interview.
I watched it a few times, yeah.
And here's why I always push back on you, Tim. Just because you're talking a lot doesn't mean that it's substance at all. So he's going to get on TV every week, every other week while he's in office. But if you watch that whole interview, he started going at her, talking about she's not very nice, and she does. And what's going on? Wait,
Mike. You're not going to interview Trump without him going at you, unless you just throwing him softballs the entire game. If you throw him any fastball or curveball or something that's meant for him not to be able to hit, he's going to say you're being unfair. I mean, only people is not going to say anything negative about is, like, say, Sean Hannity or Eric Bolin or Jesse Waters or some of these folks that are incredibly friendly. But yeah, any major news outlet, he's going to say you're being dishonest or you're fake, because he wants softball questions. He don't want to be challenged at all. I mean, he went after her, and the interview wasn't even 10 minutes old. She hadn't asked him anything that was bad.
Nothing. And then for those that didn't watch it, yes, Trump said when she asked him about the economy, the good parts of it are him.
Yeah.
And the bad parts are Biden's.
Yeah, actually, I meant to play that because for somebody who didn't hear that, I mean, it was really, he said it really early in the video, but I mean, I was shocked to hear him say something like that. But he did say that really early.
Well, we had Easter at the White House, and we had thousands of eggs, and they were down 87%.
Yeah, a lot of that, of course, spike was because of bird flu. But when does it become the Trump economy?
Why do you say that?
Well, tell me,
we had the same bird flu as he had.
When does it become the Trump economy?
And before you even say that, now he's talking about we had the same bird flu. Trump himself was personally attacking Biden for the price of eggs. He wasn't suggesting it was due to bird flu. He was suggesting it was due to Biden. But now all of a sudden when it's happening to him, he's talking about bird flu.
7%.
Yeah, a lot of that, of course, spike was because of bird flu. But when does it become the Trump economy?
Why do you say that?
Well, tell me,
we had the same bird flu as he had.
When does it become the Trump economy?
It partially is right now, and I really mean this. I think the good parts are the Trump economy, and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
Listen.
But he does talk to the people. I like the fact that he goes on TV every day, but he says some wild shit.
But you give it a false narrative when you say that. You say, and Julio said, no president in history has talked more than him. That's true. Yeah. But it doesn't mean a lot when most of the time he opens his mouth, he is flat out lying. He just said egg prices were down 87%. Yeah. He said that. Now listen, for all of those magas that's in the comments, Julio, over there is nowhere you're going to find where eggs are down at all, let alone 87%.
He's talking about the distribution cost.
Again, oh, by the way, Julio, South Dakota isn't even in the top 10 in egg production, by the way, in the country. But anyway, I digress. Again, because you made a comment earlier about
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You know where I was going with that when I heard it too. If we're focusing on our local issues, I probably know more about your South Dakota than you do when it comes to this stuff. But all I do is read.
Now, Cedric in the comments, Cedric Haney is saying that they are down. I got many folks. Pablo Anaya says $12 eggs is $5.34. That ain't down. But folks are saying that egg prices are down, and I don't disagree with that. But as you're pointing out, Mike, he said 87%, and that's flat out false.
It's false, and then you got to understand what type of eggs you're talking about. I don't know if people are reading these. I don't know if people are. Hold on, real quick. Well, I'm in NorCal too, so yeah, exactly. So my point is this: they're just reaching for information to make themselves feel like they're right and that he's doing the right thing. But the substance isn't behind the information. There's no substance behind the rhetoric. Your president just said 87 cents. Yeah. I mean 87%.
And that's 87%. That's not legit anywhere. Nobody is charging 87% less for eggs than they did in the early January when Biden was in office. It has not went down to that level. I mean, yeah, and this is the same thing with the $1.85 a gallon for gas. He does often say stuff that is just wildly exaggerated.
If you apply 87% to any dozen price of eggs in the country, 87%. If you apply 87% to any egg price at its highest point, they would be less than $2.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's no absurd. But Papa Anaya Shelley in the comments, okay, this could be maybe aimed at both of us, but certainly at me because he mentioned my name. Says 3 years and 9 months left, Tim. Are you going to be okay, buddy? So, I mean, let me ask you, do you think, listen, liberals in general, do you think we're going to be, I mean, he does have a significant period of time left in office. He's moved, regardless of what you think of Trump, he has went a long way in a short period of time. Over 100 executive orders. He's done a lot in a short period of time. 3 years and 9 months. What say you?
I say, when we say doing a lot in a short period of time, even that's a misnomer. I mean, I can tear up a lot of shit in a short period of time. Doesn't mean I got anything done. Right. So, and again, we have to qualify. We got to qualify these things when we say them.
But he was hired to do. I mean, he was hired to be to tear up shit. He was hired to do that, to be chaotic and tear the system up. And folks did not like the traditional system. I mean, he's actually kind of doing what he was hired to do. Fact is, probably about 70%, 80% of the shit he's doing, he stated he was going to do that before getting elected.
He didn't state. He talked about it at a very high level. He never gave detail about anything. He never gave detail about how he was going to do it, and he didn't do that. And again, he sold them these talking points, right? He sold them these things where tariffs are going to be great. There's not one economist that said this shit is looking good, right? I mean, well, let me say that, very few. I haven't seen them. I haven't read anyone.
No, I haven't, other than Kevin O'Leary. But the fact is, there are clips of Trump before getting elected joking about, well, not even joking, I guess, because he actually did it, but talking about putting 100% tariff on China. He did talk about this stuff. If you watch enough of his rallies, it's out there.
And what were his supporters saying when he was saying that shit, Tim? What were they saying? Well, a lot of them were saying he's just talking. He's not gonna do that. We heard a bunch of that.
Well,
even on your show,
yeah,
he just talks a lot. He just pontificates. He just over exaggerates. Matter of fact, you had some debates for weeks about exaggeration versus lie, right?
Yeah. I don't. You make a good point. A lot of folks did not. They did think that some of the stuff he was saying was an exaggeration or was a lie, but that's the fault of the voter. I mean, like I said, Trump did what he promised to do.
They have to understand, and I keep saying it, there's Stephen Miller and Steve Bannon initiatives in here. There's different initiatives. There's 1% initiatives. There's oligarchy initiatives. There's all kind of shit in there. It's just not one thing. But we're not winning this tariff. We're not winning this tariff war right now. If you want to look and see what's going on out in the open waters about vessels, go out to marinetraffic.com and look and see what's coming across that water.
I don't think you're going to have to do that much longer, Mike. I think it's going to soon be a lot of folks that are working at the decks talking about they're getting fired, and the trucking industry is going to, the minute the ships stop coming in, the trucks that show up to pick the freight up, they're going to start laying people off in the trucking industry, and then you'll see the trickle-down effect. I mean, I don't think you're going to need to really go look. I'd say no more than maybe a week or two. And within a week or two, you're going to start seeing that. Companies are going to be forced to let people go.
I've already heard it. So I was watching something the other night. They said you hire one person for every 4 containers. Right? That's what they were talking about the other night. So for every person, you got 4 containers. So if the containers are being cut or the imports are being cut by 30, 40% coming in, there's the math right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And here's the part that they're missing, Tim. Before people have to order, the company, the import has to be produced, manufactured, and then put on a container and shipped. So you got lead times on all this stuff. So when he goes 100% here, 100% on movies, and 100% on, people are freezing. They're literally stopping in their place because these companies can't produce it and tell you it's going to be $50, and you sign an invoice, and a week later it's $150. They're not.
That's what I was telling and that's exactly what I was telling Julio when he was talking about bringing manufacturing. I'm like, you can't make any decisions based on stuff that is changing overnight like that. I mean, you first Trump talks about 20% tariff on some country, and you're like, well, shit, we're going to have to kind of struggle a bit, but if we get rid of a few people here or a few branch offices, we can kind of make do with 20%. And then the next day, your assistant is like, well, he said 45% now. I mean, you can't make decisions when he's moving that quick. I mean, he imposed tariffs on what he referred to as Liberation Day on April 2nd. I think they said he's made like 20 changes to that since then. How can you operate a business on that?
Nobody can. And here's the part that hurts us all, and a lot of people don't feel it yet. Okay. So me being in the restaurant business, right? Mm-hmm. If I have a location that's close to a port and we get a lot of business from their lunch crowd or maybe the happy hour crowd that leave the dock from those workers, well, when they start getting laid off, I'm impacted as well.
Yeah.
My franchisees are impacted as well. This is what they're not thinking about. And it just doesn't come back that easy either. So when most small businesses are working on small margins. So when you lose 1 or 2% because of decisions like this, that he turns around and sits around talking about, well, you don't need $30, you just need to. Well, who the fuck ever said that? right? But the audacity of a man that sits on a gold toilet to tell somebody what they do or don't mean
to tell
about
kid.
something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. I mean,
to tell a kid you don't need a bunch of dolls while you're throwing a multi-million-dollar party for yourself and the taxpayers down. I got to move on, but the hypocrisy is about as clear as day on that. But that's who we voted for, man. That's who we got in office.
Well, no, if you tell me I vote, listen, if you tell me I voted for him one more goddamn time, I did not vote. I did not vote for this mango moscato.
That is your president. Say it with me. That is your president. Say it with me. President Trump.
President, but I did not vote for that. But last thing I'm gonna say before I leave and tonight, and I know DJ Julio's still listening. DJ Julio, if it's not a level of integrity and character you would give to your customers, why would you expect the rest of America to accept less? Because you won't even do that to your customers. And guess what? We, the American people, we are the consumers of his decisions. So if you wouldn't do it, why would you think it's okay for him to do it to all of us?
Well said, Mike. Thank you. All right, moving on with the program, and I can't disagree with that. Like clockwork, leave it to MAGA to play cleanup. Like Trump is Orange Jesus speaking in parables. That is coming from Will G. I do say that MAGA is really good at doing cleanup for Trump, because you already heard DJ Julio talking about, he wasn't talking about the price of gas. He was talking about kilowatts and all of this other stuff. I do agree that there is a lot of that takes place. Trump was clearly talking about gas was down to $1.85 per gallon. I mean, it's pretty clear what he was talking about, but because it's a wild exaggeration and not true in anywhere in the country to make it make sense. Well, he's talking about kilowatts and he's talking about per gallon. Will, you said I will surety Elon under. He lied about his citizenship. You said Elon Musk lied about his citizenship. I have not heard that. I have not. Really? I have not heard that. DJ Julio just wants it to be true, because if not, he voted for a person who lied to his face, says Snowfall. There could be some of that. There could be some of that where voters don't want it. I mean, it could be on the left or the right, where you vote for a candidate and you're involved in these political debates, so to speak, we have here all the time. And you don't want to be wrong. So let's say, for instance, when folks were saying that Biden's cognitive health was in decline, I was one of the main ones on here saying that everybody that's saying Biden is in cognitive decline has no access to the president himself. The people that are around him are saying he's in good health. So I got to believe the people that are around him. Well, it looks like now they were lying. It looks like MAGA might have been on to something. After seeing how he performed in the debate on June 27th, it looks like maybe the people who were saying he was in cognitive decline were actually telling the truth. So, the liberals did not want to admit that he might not be the best choice going forward. And I think a lot of that is apparent with Trump, that he is clearly being dishonest on stuff. And MAGA doesn't want to be honest and admit, yeah, that's probably not true. Or, yeah, he's lying about that. Or, some folks want to stick by their guy and not admit when they get things wrong. It happens on both sides. That's MAGA's education, says Will. You can get a MAGA education, not PragerU, but MAGA Ed. Not only does he want soft questions, he wants to be praised and worshiped. True. With Trump, flattery will get you everywhere. That is true. That's what he wanted from Zelensky when he came to the White House, which is why you're seeing other MAGA fluffers. I don't use this word very often, but you've seen other fluffers like J.D. Vance. Well, you haven't told President Trump thank you. You know J.D. Vance done been in office. Thank you, sir. Thank you for putting me in. You know J.D. Vance done been thanking the hell out of Trump. And when you ain't told Trump thank you, sounds like, it sounds exactly like what you're talking about, Will. Did you know New York City bodegas want to sell Lucy bags of eggs? No, I have not heard that. You want to sell one egg at a time and shit like that? I have not heard that. I'm sure Trump got Ivanka and Tiffany zillions of dollars, speaking in proximity, out of touch. And before I go back to the box, that to me was very hypocritical, to have a president suggesting that a child, and he uses an 11-year-old daughter or a kid, and says that an 11-year-old does not need 11 dolls. You should be okay with 2, and the 2 are going to cost you more. And as I stated, this is a guy who has his own commercial airliner and gold toilets in his house, telling a kid, you don't need all this. Meanwhile, you're having a military party for your birthday that's costing taxpayers. It does look like some serious hypocrisy. But I'll go back to the box. Dencal, good evening. Welcome to the program. And I'm assuming you probably heard Julio. You may have a few disagreements. Dencal, good evening.
A few disagreements.
Just a few.
This man sat up here. This man sat up here on your show and told you he run a plumbing company and he only used parts from America from some damn warehouse that only deals in bro. You will go out of business if your prices are not comparative with the average in your industry. Don't nobody give a damn about you get all your parts from America. Them days is long gone. Yeah. If you can't be competitive with the next.
Well, and that kind of makes sense. I'm thinking, like, if you're fixing somebody's pipes or whatever, I mean, if you fix it with a pipe wrench that's made in China versus one that's made in America, the customer don't care. They just care that you stop the leak.
That's what I'm saying. Like, nobody is going to be like, okay, I'm going to pay, twice as much or, 50% more because you get all your parts from America. They're going to look at other plumbers and they're going to do comparative pricing. That's what people do. They talk to other people. They say, how much would you charge? How much would you charge? And if you say you got the lowest price and you got the ability to do the work, you're probably going to get the job. Yeah, nobody cares if you say everything's made in America.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier, is that's the reason this whole production being made in China. That's the reason all this stuff's happened in the beginning, is because at the end of the day, Americans just want products that are cheaper. They don't care where they're made. It's not enough Americans in this country that are willing to pay more for American-made products. If I can purchase something made in China and it fits the needs of what I'm trying to get done, most Americans are going to buy that. They're not going to pay 10, 20, 30% more for something that's made in America just to say it was made in America. They're just not going to do that.
Right. I mean, it was like that when I was a kid growing up in Detroit. Like, my dad used to work for Ford's, and when he bought a foreign vehicle, he had to park in another lot, like across the street. Like, people didn't play that shit back then. You buy American made. You buy, you know what I'm saying? We was in the Motor City. There was no foreign car. Now,
yeah,
the young people have gotten attracted to this foreign thing because they view that as being luxury. So now nobody gives a shit about made in America anymore. Yeah. It's about the name brand, and it's about like what the perception of it is. And if people can buy some Air Jordans that were made in the exact same factory over there in China, but it was made after hours with the same material, and they send them to America and they call them reps, like replicas. Nobody knows. Nobody's going to know. All they're going to be like is, wow, you got the new whatever. So all of that made in America, that stuff went years ago when our government and the class of people who decided, okay, we're going to move the manufacturing out of here because nobody wants those jobs anymore, and plus we can make a lot more money making the stuff overseas. Yeah. Our government decided to do that long time ago. Now that ship has sailed.
Here's the thing I don't get. Okay, we see folks, like, whether it's, I often bring up tuition assistance. People, you pay, you sign that loan, you pay your loan back. I don't care how much you're struggling. I pay mine back, you pay yours back. We don't want, to give children free lunch in school. We clearly don't give a damn about each other as fellow Americans. Why would you think they would care about patronizing your business? I mean, we overlook Americans, fellow Americans that's struggling every day, from veterans to homeless people. We don't care that much about each other as Americans. We have a mindset of pull yourself up by your bootstraps and make your way like I did. So why do people think that folks are going to patronize other American businesses? We are clearly all for self in this country when it comes to economics. So if I can buy products from the Chinese store that is shipped in or whatever, I'm gonna tell you, he can find a way to sell that to me for cheap. You need to find a way too. I mean, that's the way it's gonna go.
I don't understand how one party got psychologically fooled, just like they were saying, hey, I'm tired of us sending money to Ukraine. I want them to spend that money in America. Now that we stop sending money to Ukraine, I ain't heard that word about that billions of dollars going to help nobody in America.
Nothing. That was the whole argument. I used to preach that up and down, is that you always hear them talking about let's stop sending money to the Ukraine so we can take care of Americans first. And I used to ask the question, you notice you don't hear any Republicans talking about, before we sent money to the Ukraine, we used to be able to allocate money to the homeless, or we used to be able to look out for, foster care kids. You don't hear them talking about nothing they were doing before the money went to the Ukraine. And now that the money's not going to the Ukraine, you're right. You don't hear them talking about nothing they're going to do after it, because it never was going to happen.
We're not sending money to Ukraine. Those you're supposed to be saving us trillions of dollars. They still haven't said nothing about all of these fantastic programs that's going to help the common person. Hell, matter of fact, they're making it harder on all of those people with student loans who had their loans paused. Now, those people are going to, all of that built up interest is going to hit their accounts, and all of those people are going to be in the hurt locker.
And a lot of them folks,
say,
go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't hear not one Republican say, well, yeah, that's kind of bold to do that to nothing.
Because a lot of them folks, chances are there's a lot of federal employees that got fired by Elon Musk that have student loans that they're not going to be demanding the money from. I mean, so you don't fire this person and you're calling their loans due. So some of these, or some of the farmers they don't fucked over. You don't got rid of this person who may have gotten a degree in agricultural science. A lot of the farmers go and get educations too. I know a guy who has a farming education. So you go out and do that, and then boom, not only have you ruined my livelihood, now you're going to call due the loans that I went out and got to make the livelihood happen. So a lot of these folks got double whammies coming at them.
Hey, and to the person in the chat, her name is Mama Bull. She says, I think he's proving Trump's point. I'm not proving his point about the manufacturing, because the manufacturing is not coming back. No matter what he keeps telling people, all of these jobs are coming back, he is lying. Those jobs, those companies, they plan capital investments years and years in advance. He gets on TV talking about, we've already got $1 trillion in promises. That's all they are promises. Yeah. Because nobody, just like you said, is going to make a capital investment of hundreds of billions of dollars to build a dang old factory when he's going to be gone in 4 years, and whatever efforts he was trying to do, nobody else is going to be backing that shit up, and they will have wasted hundreds of billions of dollars. They just saying that to pacify him, so he'll leave them the hell alone. Yeah. Everybody's telling them, yeah, we're going to give you whatever you want. All of those people, all of the lawyers, all of the schools, none of that shit's on paper. They all just telling them, yeah, we're going to give you what you want. And he's using that. He's using that in his daily, like he's out there daily, like you say, he is talking to the people. You got to give him credit for talking to the people.
He is talking to the people. He's
a lie. Even though everything he says is a lie, you got to give him credit for being such a prolific liar. Like that.
Well, everything Trump says is not a lie. I mean, like I said, he talked about getting rid of the Department of Education. He actually did that. I mean, he's talking about opening up He's talking about opening up Alcatraz again.
No, he said he put together. He told the DOJ and he told the other people to look into it.
Well, I think what Trump wants. I think he's been what the hell happened? Oh, hold on a second. I don't know why this TikTok is doing this. Okay, it made me put a puzzle or something together here. Okay, I think what Trump is doing is he has some kind of affection or some kind of he likes dictators. Like, there's no denying whether it's the dictator of Hungary, whether it's Putin, whether it's Kim Jong-un. He likes dictators. I think Bukele down in El Salvador, he likes that prison system. And I think he's trying to figure out some kind of way to have something like that here. He actually likes that. I mean, he's talked about how I forgot what he referred to Alcatraz is, but he said Alcatraz is both like frightening and delightful, or some kind of term he used. But he admitted it's awful.
Something about it's got a image or aura about it.
Yeah.
Because of the people that it used to house. But the problem is the damn thing was only designed to hold like 300 and something people. It would all be for what do they call it? Vanity. It would be a vanity project.
Well,
300 people, you can find a warehouse downtown Chicago that can fit 300 people.
But it does not have the vanity of what you're talking about. I think you got it right, is that he wants to do it because he talked about people trying to escape and getting bitten by sharks and stuff. The guy likes cruelty. I don't think there's any way to deny it. The guy likes cruelty.
It ain't a damn shark out there by San Francisco.
Is that true?
Yeah, look, there may be one or two out there, but that's out there by the Golden Gate Bridge, man. There ain't no damn sharks out there. People would be getting bit all the time. Beaches all across there.
I just heard him say that today, that only one person escaped and they found his shirt and it had all kinds of shark bites on it. He said that today. So he did say that there's sharks out there. So maybe not, but he definitely said it. So, like I said, the guy talks to the people. I got to move it on. But he talks to the people. Give him credit.
What? I've been telling you for a couple of weeks, when everybody said, look, I don't see it happening. All these people, y'all fear-mongering is, y'all talking about it's going to get bad and nothing's happening. What I tell you, you just got to wait. So we waiting to see the whites of their eyes before we really come out and say what it is. The market's recovering. 2 days ago, it was Biden's fault when they had bad numbers. Yesterday, they had good employment numbers.
And that's what I mean. It's impossible to do business when things are going up and down like that. You want to build a factory in this country when the market is going all over the damn place like that. And that's what I was trying to tell Julio, but he was adamant, yeah, I would do it. I'm like, okay. All right, then, Cal. Go ahead. I get the last word.
They just need to remember how long it took for us to recover after C-19 when all of the shipping and all of the transportation was jacked up. Remember, they had to keep the ships off of shore and everything because of COVID. And it took us months and months to recover and to catch back up. So once they start laying off them longshoremen and all of that stuff, that stuff ain't instant.
I said the same thing, is that once you do this stuff, just like the relationships he's hurting and all of the stuff, it doesn't come back overnight. It's a lot easier to destroy something than it is to rebuild it.
It is. That's what it is.
So we'll see. Then, Cal, thank you as always. All right. Moving on. Appreciate it. Moving on with the program. I want to make sure I didn't started his business and worked on a student visa. You're talking about Elon, but I'm not aware that. Well, what he said, he lied back in the day to get in the country, because Elon Musk is a citizen now, isn't he? You're saying maybe he lied in the beginning? I think I heard somebody else say that Elon Musk was not originally honest when he came to the country. But he got Trump in office now, so he don't have to worry about that anymore. He only made the DOE a shell, Department of Energy a shell, and left the loan sharks to hunt. Yikes. I mean, Trump is making a killing while president. I think that's pretty clear. This whole notion that he's not taking a salary, he's making good money. I wanted to see if I could find that clip, because Trump did talk about somebody trying to escape in sharks. Now, as what my last caller talked about, there's no sharks off the coast of San Francisco. I didn't know that. I just figured it's the Pacific Ocean. That may be, because there have been sharks up pretty high up on off the East Coast in the Atlantic. People have been bitten by sharks way up north. So I figured, San Francisco or the Bay Area. But he's saying otherwise. I'm gonna see if I can hear the clip of him.
Just an idea I've had, and I guess because the judges, so many of these radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, that came in illegally. That would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening. And it's long been a symbol, Alcatraz, of whatever it is. I mean, it's a sad symbol, but it's a symbol of law and order. And, it's got quite a history, frankly. So I think we're going to do that, and we're looking at it right now.
He said you couldn't hardly hear him over Marine One in the background, but he didn't talk about the sharks in that video, but he does talk about somebody tried to escape in the past and they got bitten by a shark. Going back to the box, how many times has Trump blamed President Biden for his economy? He blames Biden for everything. I'm about to get my ass kicked.
Bluffing on everything.
What did I do?
You do everything. I swear to God, you be bobbing really hard at that pinky winky, don't you?
Bobbing?
Yeah.
Bobbing?
Yeah,
damn.
you bobbing, honey. You bobbing. I'm telling you, bobbing.
What have I said today that would be justifiable as bobbing? Well, what have
Because you be agreeing with these motherfuckers. What the fuck? Over here, okay, the gas prices. Let me tell you what the gas prices, Pookies and Ray Rays, that don't have the education, okay? You know, the OPEC just released a lot of oil, okay? They did it in the markets. So guess what? It's going to crash our markets really bad. So yes, we're going to have low gas prices, but guess what? The lights and the gas and shit is going to go sky high. Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that might just
people need to get education around here, honey. I know. The little maggots, they can't read with the shit. And then they believe that fucking fool. $1.89 for gas. Where, bitch? Where?
Well, how do you respond to some folks who do suggest that maybe not $1.89, but since Trump became president, some eggs and groceries has went down some?
Where? Cause honey, I pay $3.44 a gallon. Where, honey? Where? Where is it at? Where?
Well, you got a pizza lover in the comments says maybe your 40 ounce went down. Pizza lover. He's suggesting that your
pizza lover is jacking off to Donald Trump, okay? That's what it is. You know what? These little maggots, they be doing the worst, okay? They be believing everything that little Triple K man do. They believe it all.
Triple K?
What I mean? He's Triple K.
Oh, come on.
Don't tell me he's not. Do not tell me he's not. Do not tell me he's not. Because everything he's fucking doing now is against the black and brown people. Believe that. You don't see the white man doing it.
Give me one thing that Trump has done that is against the black and brown man.
Oh my fucking God. See now I gotta roast you the fucking hell back. See? Do you see that? Do you see? You are going to be a house Negro at the end of the fucking day. You are. You ain't no lib. You ain't no Democrat. You are a fucking maggot.
I'm just asking a question, gangster.
Let's go. You a black man and you know. What the fuck is wrong with you?
You're telling me that Trump is doing things against black and brown people. Some would say that Trump has done more for black people than anybody since Abraham Lincoln. What has he done? What has he done?
What has that white tea man done for? Give us ulcers? Tell us that we ain't free here? Yeah, right. He ain't giving us shit. Tell me. Please tell me what he gave us. What? Give us a little bit of money for what? The colleges? Hell to the no. He wanted to shut them fucking down.
Well, not only the colleges, but also when Trump
wants to shut it down.
But let me give you a little bit more. Okay, not only did he allocate money to HBCUs when he was in office,
barely any. Then he wiped it out, and then a congresswoman gave it back to you. Okay. So shut the fuck up. That white man didn't want to do shit.
You asked me a question, you did not let me answer it.
Yeah, and I had to rebut you because he's going to say, oh, he gave us a couple billion. He gave us a couple billion. Bitch, no. He was going to give you a couple million. But then he took it out. And then Biden gave billions, Pookie. Billions.
What about the notion that under Trump, the unemployment rate in the black community was at a historic low?
Because of who?
Him.
Because of who? No, not because of him. Because of Obama. He wrote a coattails of Obama. What the fuck are you talking about? But then when he started doing the tariffs and shit, he fucked all that shit up. And then he didn't want to believe the virus. He didn't want to believe it's gonna go away on April. It's gonna go all the way in April.
You got a good economy under Trump, and you're giving him no credit for his own economy.
What? Oh my fucking God! What good economy? Oh, please do tell me what good economy.
Historic unemployment rate in the black community.
It was for Obama, and then it went to 14% when it got to COVID. Go look at the shit. It was at 14% with him.
Gangsta grandma. When COVID broke out, that was in Trump's last year of his term. The first 3 years, he had a really solid economy. He don't get credit for any of that.
Obama, he was right on the. What did he do? What the fuck did he do for us? Tell me one bill he passed. Tell me one bill. The tax. He didn't give us shit with the tax because you know why? He gave it to the billionaires. Gave us what? Pennies? After he raised the shit, after he fucked the damn farmers over? With the tariffs and shit? Get the fuck out of here. Come on. Quit bending over, boy. Come on. Quit bending over. Quit bending over.
Okay, what about the stimulus checks? He gave everybody $2,000.
He had to.
Oh, come on.
He had to do it. Because he's going to crash all of us. He had to give it to us. Do you see the lines? Did you see the fucking lines for people asking for food?
So according to you, people are in line. They're begging for food. They're starving. The man gives everybody. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Listening to you, people are in line. They're starving.
They was.
Okay.
They was.
So people are doing really bad. The man comes along and hands everybody $2,000 in stimulus checks, and you don't.
Him. Okay, comprehend this. Let's go to education, okay? The only thing that white man did was put his name on a check, and he made them put his name on a damn check. It was the Democrats that gave it to him.
Gangster.
It wasn't.
If you are in need,
it was the Democrats.
I cannot believe that people were in need. The man gave a stimulus check, and you won't even get it.
It wasn't him. The president, Pookie, Ray, does not give out the money. It's Congress. And who was in control of Congress? Pookie, Ray. It was the Dems. Thank you.
If it wasn't for Trump, the stimulus checks would not have went out. Get a man his credit.
It wasn't because of him. It was the Democrats.
Okay, do you give him credit for bringing up Operation Warp Speed, saving millions of people from COVID? Do you even give him credit for that?
Well, yeah. I'll give him that little bit.
All right, we're getting somewhere now.
But he did. But then after he did all that shit, he didn't want to give out them. Look it all up. Anything I say is spitting the damn truth. He didn't want to give it all up, but he stopped the damn vaccines going out fast enough. Come on, Pookie, Ray. I'm telling the damn fucking truth. It was the Democrats that gave out the damn stimmies. See, that's what you motherfuckers are so damn stupid about. The president doesn't hand out money. It's the damn Congress that does. And Congress was the Dems. Okay, we did it. We gave people money because we've seen them asking for boxes for food and stuff. Yes, we did that. See, that's why when the black people that voted for him thinking he would get another stimmy. And guess what?
I'll give you another one. A lot of African Americans in the hood were complaining about all these immigrants getting benefits and qualifying for stuff that they were not qualifying for in their cities. Trump came along and got those folks out. Does Trump get any credit for that?
No, because they don't get shit. They don't get welfare like the white man do. They don't get Medicaid like the white man do. They don't get food stamps like the white man do. You have to have a social security number. They bust their fucking asses.
If I'm correct, I believe in New York they were getting like 50 some odd million. There was
those people that came for what is that called? What is it called when you ask for I forget what it's called, amnesty or some shit like that. What is it called?
I don't know. I don't think you're getting this one right. I'm pretty sure these folks that were coming in this country were getting.
They don't get food stamps. Look the shit up.
Then how are they eating? Then how are they eating?
They got the cards. The state. It's not federal. It's the state. When the state does with their money is what the state do. If the state gives them a little bit of money to give them some fucking food, okay. Okay? Let them do it.
But
it's my taxpayers.
But gangster,
I gotta give it to them. That they go out and they work instead of giving it to the white teen that sits on their ass and has 8, 10 kids and does nothing.
But that's the point the African American community was saying, is that the state don't give us anything, yet they're giving it to the immigrants.
You know what? I feel sorry for us black people, because we have to fucking pick it. We have to pick at people. We have to pick. You know what? They just as bad as we are. The immigrants are just as bad. You know what some black folks said today? Don't celebrate today because you know what? It's not for us. But well, they don't understand that the Mexicans, there's the Afro-Mexicanos, you know what I mean? Black Mexicans and stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. See, we have uneducated people in our community too. They just as stupid as the white man.
Well, Papa Nye and Shelly on YouTube says you ain't black. You need to stop it. So some folks are denying.
Tell him the quick question. My blackness, when my mom and my dad's blacker than your black ass is. Okay, dark skin, dark blue black, like blue black. Okay, well you can see my daddy at night and you can see his teeth. That's how dark my daddy is.
Man,
okay,
that's pretty fucking
that's dark.
But
yeah.
But are you? Because some folks are posting in the comments. Are you in a position where you would not give Trump credit for anything? Like even if he cured cancer, you would find a problem with it.
That motherfucker would have cured cancer if they did, because he's taking away cancer funds. He's taking away cancer funds. What the fuck are you talking about, Willis? What are you talking about? That motherfucker's taking everything away. He's trying to take what is that? Section 8 away. And you know who's really on Section 8? His children is on Section 8, and the disabled is on Section 8, and the elderly is on Section 8. And he wants to take them away too.
Is he? Yeah. I haven't heard that. Is he really trying to take away Section 8?
Yeah, he really is. They said it today.
Wow.
Yeah, he's trying to take that away. So you know what? He doesn't even give a fuck about his own damn people. He don't. Okay? He don't. It's fucking disgusting. So you know why I can't stand that man? For one, he's a racist. He's a no good for nothing coward. He sits on his pedestal thinking he's all that and shit, and telling us taxpayers, no, well, we can't get our kids. But why he gonna go get an army to do his birthday?
Yeah, he's talking about that, but I'm still trying to find out. When you keep saying that the guys are racist and all this stuff, what is making you say that?
Central 5, when he put C on his paperwork that he would have rent to black folks. He don't like black people counting his fucking money. Now he's doing this shit. He don't want no black and brown people in the United States. He's kicking all the brown people right now out. What next?
Well,
you know why?
Well, wait a minute.
He said this, homegrown. He will send you out of the country if you're homegrown. What the fuck is that?
But
bitch?
when you say
when
you say he's kicking out all the brown people, is there anything wrong with the notion that if you're in this country illegally, you need to leave? You should have came legally.
Well, can we tell the white man that then? Can we please tell the white man that?
What are you
the white man came here illegally. Gave what? The Native Americans killed their asses off, put them on reservations, took their land from them. What the fuck?
Well,
Tell them.
Well, you're
Tell
going
them
back.
to go back.
You're going back like 200 years,
Hey, what? Hey, and why you gonna tell Mexicans where the fuck to go back from when half this motherfucker was Mexicanville? What the fuck are you talking about, Willis? New Mexico was Mexico. Texas was Mexico. California was Mexico. Utah was Mexico. What the fuck?
Do you believe people should only be able to come to this country legally?
Well, make it easier for them to come. A lot of the people that come here, all they want is a better life. All they want is to work. They don't ask for handouts. They don't want fucking Medicaid. They don't want food stamps like the white tea man does. Like they made it for the white tea man.
Well,
they made welfare for the white tea man. They didn't make it for us asses because we couldn't vote.
Wait a minute. You're saying that they only made welfare for white people?
Oh, look it up. I swear to God, you're a black man. You don't even know that shit. Really?
Well,
really?
I think you're kind of exaggerating to some degree is what I'm saying.
No, they made it for the white people. They did. Look the shit up. They made it for the white people. I'm not lying to you. See, that's why you come on a platform and over here. That's why your ass is cooning for the white tea man. Or you're thinking, oh, let me do this. Let me feast over here because you don't even know the shit. You don't even know the history. The welfare system was for the white man. Look it up, Tim. Look it up.
I'm under the impression
it wasn't for us.
I'm under the impression it was for
struggling. It was for white women, technically.
It was for
not for the white man.
I'm under the impression
for white women.
I'm under the impression it was for struggling Americans.
No, Pookie. Ray, it really wasn't. It was for the white teen woman. It originally was for the white man. Well, white women.
All right. Well, times have changed since that period, though. Now,
yeah, I guess she's still on it, though, Pookie. It's not my black ass. It ain't your black ass. It ain't no other ass. It's the majority is the white people. Ray, Pookie.
But is there anything wrong with Trump simply trying to secure the border, prevent folks from coming in this country illegally?
Let me tell you about this. Oh my God, he has 20,000 less deportations than Biden. Okay. Now, I'm not saying don't let it take the criminals out. They should take them out, okay? They should. But give them the due process that they should get. You feel what I'm saying? Don't just kick them out like they're fucking trash. Because a lot of these motherfuckers do jobs that your black ass won't do. My ass ain't gonna do. I ain't gonna go pick out no damn strawberries in 100-degree heat. Fuck, I ain't gonna do that. You got me fucked up. I'll break my nails. I like to roll up. I ain't gonna lie.
You like to roll up. All right, I'm not gonna argue with that last part. But I mean,
let me tell you something. You know what? We're so, and this goes for everybody. We're so fucking privileged in this damn country. We put the damn Mexicans and people down, but they're hard-working people. You feel what I'm saying?
Are you talking about
hard-working Mexicans?
Are you talking about? Wait. So if we're so privileged in this country, why are there so many African Americans suggesting that they're being oppressed? I've been hearing black privilege.
This is totally different. I'm talking about like going against each other. I'm not talking about oppression and stuff like that. There is race. We are oppressed here. We have the white teen man looking at us and want to get rid of us. There's a difference. But we're turning on each other. Do you know how powerful we would be if black and brown people came together? That's why the white teen man wants us to fight each other, because we're powerful. They're gonna be like, you know what I mean?
I'm hearing that the African American community would be doing much better if they came together and voted for Trump. That's what I was told.
And they're being trees. What are you talking about?
What?
They don't like trees. Let me tell you something. The only reason why he wanted the black man, you know what? The black men that voted for him were weak. They were weak. And you know what they wanted? Oh, they wanted an extra fucking $2,000 in their pocket. Oh my God, that white man, I want to get closer to the white people so bad. I want to bend over and suck on him. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what he did. The house ninjas. The house ninjas. My master,
honey. That's what they wanted. They wanted to be the master. They want to listen to the master. Yeah, they'll sell out.
All right, I don't. That's a bit.
Let me tell you something. Another thing. Let me tell you something. Okay. Now, if we got all of black and brown people that came together, I promise you, we'll be powerful in this damn country. That's why I'm telling you. That's why the white man is scared. That's why the white man took our rights away, the women's rights away, because they want the white tea women to breed white babies, not black babies, not brown babies. White babies.
That's a whole different conversation. But I gotta move it on, Grandma.
They swear up and down that the white tea man is going bye-bye. You feel what I'm saying? But if we came together as black and brown people, quit hating on each other, and quit saying that who hates on who, and we came together, we mobilized, this wouldn't be no white tea country no more. Well, there ain't no white tea country. But and the Native Americans, we all got together, the white man will be bye-bye.
All right, gangster grandma. Appreciate you coming through.
I'll see you later.
All right. She doesn't make it easy. I see Stevie D in the comments going crazy with the what the fuck. Stevie, listen, I like to give the folks a chance to speak their mind. She's very passionate. She tears me a new one, I can tell you that, but she is a unique caller of sorts. I'll leave it at that. By the way, tap the screen. I haven't asked anybody to do that in a minute. Tap the screen. We should have been at least at about 70,000. Tap the screen, get the likes up. Lady E says, my last caller told the truth. Callie Love says, I love that. Okay, so Gangsta Grandma, you do have a few fans, even though Sheldon Walsh on YouTube said, I'm getting had enough of this racist shit. I'm going to the pub, says Sheldon Walsh. I'm going to ask Gangsta Grandma out for some bologna sandwiches with salt and vinegar chips. That doesn't sound appetizing at all. Wicked Wembley says, seems racist. She hates white people. That's what it sounds like to me. Wow. Tim, please let Gangsta Grandma know I love soggy white women. Well, Gangsta Grandma is not a white woman. I don't know what the soggy part is. Not even in Mississippi is gas down to $3 for the longest. Well, Trump claims gas is down to $1.89 a gallon. And yeah, that does appear to be false. Before I move on with the program, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything here. Says, yo, if MAGA says immigrants shouldn't get due process, that essentially makes them sovereign. They shouldn't be touched at all if these people are in our jurisdiction by their logic. Interesting. My whole take on the due process thing, we talked about this on a number of lives. Should illegal immigrants get due process? And of course, the MAGA side of the aisle says no. The Trump supporters do not believe if you're in the country illegally, you should get due process. And they believe you forfeited your right to that by entering the country illegally. And of course, Trump is saying that, I can't have, 2 million trials or whatever the case may be. So the system would be too bogged down to give them due process. My opinion is this: if you don't give illegal immigrants due process, how do you know the people that are being rounded up are illegal immigrants? I mean, fact is, if I believe that the president should have the ability to arrest an illegal immigrant and initiate deportation proceedings and send him to his own home country or send him to prison in El Salvador or send him wherever he wants to send him, and that immigrant that should not get due process because they're here illegally, what's to stop Trump or some future president from rounding up American-born citizens that they view as adversaries and just calling them illegal immigrants? Because if MAGA gets his way, once I label you as an illegal immigrant, you don't get due process. So once I grab you and tell the public you're an illegal immigrant, because you don't have due process, they're not going to hear from you again. So it's not like you going to be able to say, listen, I'm American. He had no right to grab me. I'm an American. You don't get due process. So you're going to be in the back of the paddy wagon screaming that shit out while you're on the way to the airport. I mean, it would make you literally are opening up the door to Americans being you literally open up the door to making people disappear. The only way this doesn't work is as if you give Trump the power to take adverse action against illegal immigrants, and he becomes 100% trustworthy that he won't use that power for evil, and that no president in the future will. Because you're giving them you're literally letting them do it on the honor system. I'll give you the right to do whatever you want to an immigrant without due process on the honor system. I'm just going to trust that you're only doing this to illegal immigrants. Because if they're doing it to American citizens, you won't know that citizen did not get due process. They just yanked somebody off the street and now they're gone. They're telling the public the person we yanked off the street was an illegal immigrant. But you're not hearing from the person. His family is not even hearing from him. So his family is out there filing a missing persons report. Well, maybe he got caught up in some drama on the street. Maybe he's a runaway. Maybe he's a drug addict that overdosed somewhere. We don't know. Meanwhile, he's somewhere down in El Salvador somewhere. You don't get to hear from him. That's exactly what happened to Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Once they grabbed him, he was gone. He didn't get any right to have any contact with his family. He still hasn't spoken with them. So you don't get any phone calls. You don't get any conjugal visits or anything. Essentially, as far as your family is concerned, you have died. You have died. Just like when you actually die in real life, all contact with your family ceases. It's the same thing. They won't see you anymore. They won't hear from you anymore. So it's essentially like killing a person off. You can do that to anybody. So if we give him the right to prosecute immigrants without due process, we're really hoping that he or no president in the future uses that for evil, because you're absolutely opening up the door to it. So that's where I think it really gets out of hand. I'm not defending criminals. I'm not defending illegals. I'm not defending Trinidad or Agua, MS-13, and none of that shit. But I'm saying that you're opening up the door so wide to get rid of these people that are criminals that the door is wide enough that anybody will fit through. You can fit anybody through it. And that's where the problem is. Looking in the comments, and by the way, remember, once you give Trump the power to do it, let's say Kamala Harris or, whatever liberal you don't like becomes president, they have the power to do it too. Do you trust them too? Once you give Trump that power, the next commander-in-chief gets it as well. Do you trust liberals to do that? Would you trust Hillary Clinton? Remember her Hillary or her death list? Would you trust her not to make adversaries disappear if she had that power? Because that's what you're doing. You're giving it to the next man too. Looking in the comments real quick, and I'll go back to the box. Obama 2028. Obama isn't selling Obama 2028 hats yet, though. I don't trust liberals to run a lemonade stand. Then why would you give them all that power, big boss? I understand every ounce of power you give Trump, you're giving, there will be a liberal president again. I don't give a damn how far you think the right is up or how disoriented you think the left is. The country's not going to be right forever. It's going to be a liberal president in there eventually. So all the power you're giving Trump, for instance, I'll go to the box after this, but for instance, Trump has signed more executive orders than any president in history. Let's be clear, if you had a liberal in there signing executive orders like this on the right, you would not like it. Certainly if you got liberal Congress just standing by doing nothing. At this point, if a liberal does it in the future, you can't complain. Everything you're turning a blind eye for Trump will likely happen on the liberal side now, because you open up the door to all of this stuff. Listen, if you believe Trump has the best vision for America, so be it. If you believe Trump is a far better president than anything the Democrats can present, so be it. But the more power you give Trump, the more power you will give future Democrats to do the same thing. Over 100 and some odd executive orders in only 3 months he's done. Don't complain when the next guy comes in there and he's doing everything by executive order. When the next guy comes in there and does the same thing, and now all of a sudden he too has Supreme Court immunity and all this other stuff that you idly stood by, understand it can work the other way. Let me go back to the box. You can like the guy, but don't like him so much that you give him power that you don't want somebody else to have. Nicole Gooden, thanks for holding. A good evening. He doesn't even know what he's signing anymore. Isn't that what he said Biden was doing? Biden was signing shit and didn't know what he was doing. My last caller didn't come up. We'll keep it moving. We'll go on with the honorable. The fun-loving Maga Reacts. Now, Maga, you were called out tonight. You weren't on the program earlier, but man, your name comes up a lot.
Yeah, man. I missed it. What'd they say?
They think you're full of shit. That's what they say. It ain't positive. My viewers do not. Huh?
I take that as a badge of honor at this point.
Well, you know you're always welcome here, but a lot of my viewers do not have love for you at all. But you're always welcome here.
Hey,
but
at least I'm not racist like Grandma was. Did you hear the shit that came out of her mouth?
She had to make a point. She has passion.
I don't even, is she even black? That's the part I'm wondering, because I don't even think she's black.
Well, motherfucker, you like Egyptian. Goddamn it, you Egyptian. You don't sound Egyptian either.
I know, but her picture is not of a black person, and I have not seen anything that would tell me she's black or any other ethnicity whatsoever.
All right.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Something
I see the comments.
Right there.
And I see the comments. Somebody says she's homeless. I want you to hear this. This is President Trump meet the press this weekend. I want you to hear this because this is something I want to discuss with you.
Psychologically, I mean, the fake news was giving me such press on the tariffs. The tariffs are going to make us rich. We're going to be a very rich country.
So let's talk about the tariffs. And I want to ask you about something you said this week. Got a lot of attention. You were at your cabinet meeting. You said, quote, I'm going to quote what you said, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30.
Yeah.
And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. Are you saying that your tariffs will cause some prices to go up?
No, I think the tariffs are going to be great for us because it's going to make us rich.
But you said some dolls are going to cost more. Isn't that an acknowledgement that some prices will go up?
I don't think a beautiful baby girl that's 11 years old needs to have 30 dolls. I think they can have 3 dolls or 4 dolls because what we were doing was...
What is that? Can you explain that?
Well, tough time calls for tough measures, but...
Wait. Tough times call for tough measures, and this guy is about to have a military parade at $90 million to the taxpayers. Is that tough times?
That's the first time I hear about this. I don't think we're actually going to have a parade.
Really?
We have an air show all the time. I thought the air shows that we do across the country is free.
We're talking about an actual military parade on his birthday. You have not heard about that?
I've heard like rumors. I don't think it's actually official.
What if it happens? What will be your opinion?
I'll be with you. It's a waste of money. On the other hand, we do have air shows all the time to kind of get people to join the military and join the Air Force, and just the same reasons we have air shows. Why not have a couple of parades, military parades? But I love the air shows. I live on Florida, Miami, and I love those air shows. So
do you realize
some people like watching parades?
Yeah, but they're talking $90 million. I mean, at a time when you're telling an 11-year-old, this fictional 11-year-old, you don't need more dolls to play with. But yet, we're talking about a guy that has his own commercial airliner, gold toilets in his house, and now he's going to use the taxpayer money to buy. He's telling us to sacrifice, but I'm not hearing it from him. Do you see any hypocrisy in that?
Well, what do you mean? None of the rich people have to sacrifice shit. They all have money. That's the point in this. Like,
but they're not the president. But Maga Reacts, they're not the president. He's the president telling the citizens to. It's almost like a let them eat cake moment. where you're doing well while telling the citizens you need to be prepared to pay more for stuff and to make sacrifices. Meanwhile, you're on the golf course, you're flying around, you're having military parades, you're living lavishly while telling people you need to sacrifice. You don't see any hypocrisy in that?
Look, I would normally agree with you, but he also works really hard. Like, the man's always working. The man's always working. He's always doing something. He's always on TV. He's on TV like every fucking day. Who's on TV more than Trump?
Fucking Ryan Seacrest is on TV more than Trump. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, whatever. He's working every day. He's working a lot more than Biden was. And it's not like the man's lazy and, you know, like if he was lazy and telling us, you know, eat cake and all that shit, like Antoinette Mariette was, whatever her name was, I would agree with you. But he's not a lazy man. He's working hard to fix this, but this shit, it's a game of chicken with China, and we have to win.
But
so he has to say whatever to get us to hold on longer than the Chinese people, and hopefully we'll work out a trade deal before both sides have to suffer.
Isn't that his job to work hard?
Yeah, but a big part of his job is just motivating the people. I mean, he's got people under him doing the actual work. His job is to get the people to be on his side so they can outlast.
Would you be on? But think about it, you want me to be on your side, but you're telling my kid that my kid should get used to $2 and they shouldn't get 11, while you're talking about using my tax money to have a million. And by the way, I want you to hear this because you're saying that you hadn't heard this.
Next month, it will coincide with two big birthdays, the U.S. Army's and President Trump's. For more details on how this will all go down, let's go to Fox 5's Bob Barnard, live for us in Northwest. Bob?
Hey there, Sharon. The parade route will likely come down Constitution Avenue along the National Mall right in front of the White House. The date, June 14th. Yes, that is President Trump's 79th birthday, the 250th birthday of the U.S. Army. Now, the White House says, look, this is a celebration of our active duty service members and veterans. But you talk to people here in D.C. and they say, no. This is a celebration of President Trump.
It's more for his ego than it is for the American people.
I think it's bullshit.
I don't even want to go into what the people say, but
I'm with that guy. I think it's bullshit, but I also think people will enjoy it because, you know, the poorest of us enjoy parades the most.
Out of all of the stuff that I get your point, it might be enjoyable to watch this shit go by, but out of all of the things in this country, the people, I mean, you're firing all these federal workers because they're waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, I would have rather you kept Americans employed than to do this. I would have rather you forgave some student loans than to do this. I would have rather you put money in the Head Start than to do this.
If you were in charge, would you cancel like the Macy's parade around Christmas time?
If it came out, if it comes out,
New Year's Eve celebrations in New York, the ball drop, would you cancel that too?
I'll say it like this: if you can have a military parade and you flew people, if people were willing to fly into DC and buy hotels and they literally funded it. Let's say the tourism in DC shot up to the point where it made the federal government more money than the $90 million they're spending to have the parade. That would be one thing. The parade is paying for itself. I don't know what happens with the Macy's Day Parade, but I don't know if that comes out of taxpayer money though. I mean, you know, a lot of that shit, you got a lot of advertisers and stuff that are involved in it. I don't think the citizens should have to pay for a parade.
The city has to pay for the police and the safety and security.
Yeah,
they might not pay for the parade itself, but there's a lot of cost around it.
Yeah, but chances are the
they
businesses
probably make money off of it too.
Yeah, but chances are
make money off this too.
Yeah, but chances are when you talk about the Macy's Day Parade, all the businesses that have floats in that, they have to probably pay a ton of money to have a float and advertise like that. So that would cover the police and the stuff you're talking about. This is done from the government. So there's no advertising. Nobody's covering this shit. You're not going to put...
People are going to watch it, and those people are going to spend money in D.C., like you said. Like any other parade. Like the air show here on the beach. I watch the air show every year. I mean, everyone could enjoy it, rich and poor, and it makes money for all the local businesses because, you know, people have to eat, people have to stay in hotels, people just walking around spend money.
I don't foresee this parade. I mean, 90
you
million.
You answered your own question. The parade will make business for the city of DC.
Not to that level. If it was something small, you know, like I said, the Macy's Day Parade, where you're talking about little floats and shit like that, they got to fly heavy equipment in and repave the streets so that the streets can hold this shit. This is considerably more expensive than any kind of Rose Bowl or Macy's Day Parade you're talking about. This is going to cost a lot of money. The mayor of DC stated that our streets cannot handle the weight of these vehicles that are going down the street. So they got to repave stuff. It's going to cost a lot of money to do this.
Honestly, no, because here in Florida, we repave our streets at least once a year.
You're not repaving it, MAGA. You're repaving a street to handle a Honda, not a tank. So what you're doing once a year...
I'm not 100% sure of this, but we repave the fucking streets based on weather. I feel like our pavement in the summer absorbs a lot more water than like the regular pavement.
You're not repaving your streets every year to handle the weight of a tank. You're maybe a Tacoma, but not a tank.
But you're missing my point. If we're doing it once a year like that, clockworks all the time, it can't be that expensive.
It's that expensive, MAGA. It is that expensive. By the way, it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary is the point.
I agree with you. I already said this thing was stupid. I don't know if we're still even talking about it. I want to talk about the border. Like, I saw this video. I linked you this video on your messages of this guy that visited the border 2 years ago versus today. And you can see the difference and how much cleaner and better it is, how the hospitals are actually treating local people and not treating, people who were violated by the cartel and shit. And the cartel is not all over the border making money off these people.
I've any live I've covered, I've made it clear that I give Trump high marks on the border. I'm not a fan of that, no due process and some of that draconian shit. But if you're only judging him on how well he secured the border, I'm giving him an A on that. So I'm with you on his securing of the border, but I think that's kind of a given at this point.
Well, the other thing you said, like not even 5 minutes ago, is like how is he not going to deport like Americans? The first thing they do when they arrest you, doesn't matter if it's ICE or whatever, is ID and fingerprint you. So if your ID is an American, they're not going to deport you. And even the people who are deported, the illegal immigrants.
But let me ask you this question, though. Let me ask you this question, because a lot of folks get arrested and they'll tell you they didn't read me my rights, or they arrested me and they searched my car and I told them no and they did it. When you say the first thing they're going to do is check your citizenship, we know cops.
That's not what I said. I said ID and fingerprint you.
Okay,
but go ahead.
But we know cops don't always follow those procedures. They don't. I mean,
no, they always ID and fingerprint. That's like the main thing they do.
Not if they own some corrupt shit. They not. I mean, there was an American citizen on one of those planes. And the only reason he didn't get deported is because the plane had problems. Apparently, they didn't fingerprint him and do all of that. They were about to send an American citizen to El Salvador. The thing of what I'm saying is this. If you take away due process while saying that they're going to run you and fingerprint you, if I don't get due process and I'm trying to tell people they lied, they didn't fingerprint me or do it, who do I get to speak to? I don't have due process. We're totally trusting that the cops are going to follow the law and do everything right every time. Maybe you got a Hispanic that was born and raised here in America, but he's always been talking shit to the cops in the neighborhood, and they don't like his ass. If they grab him and skip that step you're talking about, who's going to fucking know? He don't get due process.
That's not even an issue with due process. You're talking corrupt cops. That's a whole different problem.
Do we have corrupt cops in America?
We do, so let's fix that problem.
No, but think about it though.
The integration when it's really the cops and ICE that need to
right. But let me ask you this question though: if you remove due process, does that not help a corrupt cop out or what?
I mean, it does, but I'm not against removing due process, but we need to expedite things, especially in the current climate. Until we balance things out from what Biden did, things need to be expedited. And I'm sure we're gonna make mistakes, but guess what? The left's on their game and they're on top of all this shit.
You can't make mistakes.
Like Grandma said, the one thing she said, he's not even deporting as much people as Biden did, because just closing the border is enough to curtail this problem.
Okay, I got someone that wants to speak to you. You always come up. I'm gonna give you someone. It's civilized. You know how we do this. Civilized. Okay, Andy, now you're hearing something that you disagree with, Andy. Good evening. What is he saying you disagree with?
Everything. Like, that is the most childlike approach to politics I've ever heard in my life. It'll be okay. No. And, like, they'll never make back the money for a $90 million parade. Like, that's just not going to happen.
I don't think that will
even
happen
begin
either.
to believe that is silly.
It's the opposite. If it's only $90 million, it'd be easy to make it back. If it's more than that, which most likely it will be, then I agree with you. But I also...
It's going to cost us... It's going to cost us probably that much to fix the road after he has the damn parade. So you can just double that amount.
Okay, I already said like 10 times it's stupid. I think it's a waste of time. I mean, I love parades, I love air shows,
your simplistic approach to Donald Trump's policies without any questioning. Like, in your mind, he's just doing this great job and it's all going to be okay. But meanwhile, back here in reality, what do you think's going to happen when Donald Trump gets rid of all the immigrants? Then what? Then what's going to happen to the supervised police?
He's never going to be able to get rid of all the immigrants.
Sir, what do you think he's going to do with that hyped up police force that I saw celebrating in Alabama because they know they're not going to have any rules? Like, oh, they were way too happy. I have never seen so many cops on the news as I did tonight. Like, it's almost like they know they got that get out of jail free card.
Wait, hold on, Andy. What if they?
It's not the same as them being militant.
What? Well, it could lead to that. What type of what?
It can lead to anything. This is the attitude that's why I say it's fear mongering. If you're gonna,
it's not fear mongering. No. Stop, child. I live in a state where you can be changing your tire on the side of the road, and a police officer will get out and tase your ass. That's happened here. We had a guy who was minding his own business in his house. A repo got knocked on his door and he said, dude, you got the wrong house. The repo dude went to the cops, told him he had the right house. They pew-pewed the owner of the house and it was the wrong house.
Damn.
This is common here. Trump just gave them free reign to do that wherever they want to.
He hasn't changed a single law, so how did he give them free reign to do anything?
He got rid. He
Especially when you're talking about state police.
Sir, you asked me a question. Right? Now shut up and listen to the answer.
Go ahead.
I hate children. Like, this is the reason I didn't have any.
Andy.
It is.
I'm goddamn near 40, so I don't know how you keep calling me a child.
Well, you could still be my child, so hush.
Be nice, Andy.
Donald Trump told the cops and made that new EO, and the states adopted that EO immediately and gave the cops, the military and all the stuff they needed to do whatever the hell they want. Now the cops are like little militaries running around all over the cities with nobody to keep them in check. They even got rid of Aaliyah, and I don't know what the one with the federal level is, but that's the record that keeps up with bad cops, dude.
I've heard about that one. I want to find out what you said.
This was only federal cops, and it has nothing to do with the regular police.
No, several of the states got rid of theirs too. Like,
okay,
I
that's
don't know why you're not paying attention,
what does that have to do with Trump?
No, it's...
You know
because
what?
If Trump had not made it okay.
Not even like 6 months ago, you were talking about how those EOs are not worth the paper they're written on, and now they're fucking God's law.
Well, now that we've lost the three branches of government because Congress abdicated their damn responsibility and the courts are doing what they're supposed to do, but Donald Trump's not paying attention to those court orders because his ass thinks he's a king. Like, you know how disrespectful it was that he made an AI of himself as the damn Pope while the Pope just got buried and we even had the last
something. Hang on a second.
Disrespectful shit ever.
Hold on a second, Andy. Yeah,
what does that have to do with police brutality? You're all over the place here, honey.
But I do want to ask you that real quick, Maga. How do you feel? They're still mourning the death of the Pope, and Trump is sending out a picture, as you see on my monitor here, from his own account of him dressed as the Pope. How do you respond to that?
Again, I think it's stupid. I think he's trolling, obviously, but
who the hell is he trolling? Is he trolling the people that are mourning this man's death?
No, but a lot of people are saying he wants to be the next pope, that he's going to try to get elected.
I don't care. That is disrespectful as hell. Y'all think everything is trolling. Where is your sense of propriety? Where is your sense of decency? Where are your morals? Like, I swear to God, y'all don't have morals. Y'all think morals are painting on the walls and scruples or Russian money. That's what y'all think, because y'all don't have morals and scruples. It frustrates me.
Listen, I've said it several times. I agree with you. It just has nothing to do with the state of the country.
But it does, because when Donald Trump makes things okay,
TikTok or whatever.
When Donald Trump says the cops can do this, like, he even said it when he was running for office. I think the cops should get one good day to rough him up. Like, he has been very open about how he thinks the cops should treat people that he didn't like. Matter of fact, Donald Trump thinks that people like me and Tim.
Wait, say that again, Maga?
It doesn't really change the laws in any way. Like, if they still take it too far, I mean, it's just showing support for the cops, but it's not really changing the law.
Yeah, but the thing about when you
they
start,
can still get prosecuted.
Yeah, but when you start talking about giving the police immunity, you actually create motivation in cops, because they feel like if something go down, you're gonna have my back. At least, because a lot of times when you violate somebody, you don't just get state charges, you get civil rights federal charges. Trump leads you to believe that he's going to pardon you for that shit. If it's kind of black and white, Trump got your back when he's talking.
Which is exactly what I just said. It's more showing support than actual immunity.
Why the hell are you? But that's bad enough. Why were you showing support for corrupt cops? You don't have to give them immunity. Just the idea that you're talking about
showing support for corrupt cops. You're showing support for all cops. To tell them that
Donald Trump's corrupt, so it makes sense. He would show respect. Donald Trump's corrupt, and he likes other corrupt people. That's all there is to it, there, MAGA.
No, what it is Biden.
No, what part of
Biden did the opposite of this.
Wait, hold on, stop. Do you think MAGA? You said he's not corrupt. Do you not think spending $20 million taking half a Republican Congress to the Super Bowl while he's slashing all the fun, benefits for everybody else in corruption? Because it is. Y'all don't know what corruption looks like anymore.
Look at it
and corruption looks like what
half the shit that Biden was doing we don't even know about.
That ain't a defense for him, man. You said that half of the you can look at Trump and at least you can see what he's doing. You didn't know half of the shit that Biden. That ain't a defense for Trump just because he's corrupt out in the open and Biden is hiding it, is what you're saying.
Look, Obama, I know, has seen his share of games and shit. It sucks that we have to pay for everything Trump does, but that's the law. He can't pay for it himself. Like, Secret Service has to go there and secure the place, and it has to be paid for because he's the president.
I don't care about it.
He didn't have to go. Nobody has ever been to the Super Bowl but Donald Trump because of the cost.
But they go to all kinds of games.
Stop, MAGA. You don't, every time I speak, you try to talk over me. You don't have any respect for anyone at all. So what I'm telling you is no president's ever been to the Super Bowl ever because of the prohibitive cost. He went and stayed for one half of the game, got mad, and left, and cost us $20 million. That's ridiculous. That shouldn't be allowed. Then he spent $5 million at the race course. Like, Donald Trump is the epitome of corruption. He's eating through any money that Doge might have saved, and Doge didn't save even a quarter of what they told you they saved, because now we find out some of those contracts were ended under the Biden administration. Like, there's no gains to be seen, just no money was given. So a lot of that is bullshit he's telling you, and you eat it up. Just everything's going to be lovely. Give him some more time to destroy some more shit. Because all the shit needs to go down the drain before you wake the hell up and realize that this is not playtime. This is the real world.
All right, let him get in there, okay? Maga, go ahead.
It's the real world, and you can't turn things around in 100 days.
Look at the destructions he's made in fucking 100 days. Are you joking?
Okay, we got to see the results of it. Biden did his own destruction.
Not to mention he promised to do a bunch of stuff on day one.
2 years for inflation to go down. Let's see if it takes half that long for the tariffs to get worked out.
You know, he didn't disenfranchise the elderly, the poor, the children that need Medicaid and Medicare. He didn't just take the FEMA budget to play golf, because there's no FEMA budget.
and storms are coming. It's, summer's like, we are not going to
Wait,
skip hurricane season because Donald Trump didn't put money in the FEMA budget.
You said he got rid of the FEMA budget?
Season. We're covered.
Yeah, it was on the
go to California.
One of the representatives. He asked me a question, not you, dude. One of the senators was talking about it, and he was like, "You realize you left no money for FEMA?" And he goes, "Like, I want y'all to own this before we sign this budget."
Okay.
And
Congress
your state, you think
FEMA overnight? You act like it's not like a credit card. It's like going in your bank account transfer.
FEMA
money.
should not start out bankrupt, honey. It shouldn't start out at zero.
I don't know the details.
We couldn't get FEMA to come to we couldn't get Congress overnight. We couldn't get Congress to come give North Carolina more money, could we? They absolutely refused to go back into session to give them money.
I do remember that. I might have to move it on from you folks, but I do agree that the 700 and some bucks they were chastising Biden for only giving North Carolinians. You're right. The Democrats tried to raise the amount FEMA could give folks that are in these disasters, and Republicans voted against it. So when Biden comes along and gives them the lower amount, they're criticizing Biden for only giving them the lower amount. But I do got to move it on from you folks.
The next disaster.
And I got to tell you about an app real quick, Tim. MAGA has made an app for themselves where it's pro-family, pro-life. It's called Public Square, and it's all these businesses. You got to jump through all these hoops to get on there. Liberals are just using it as where not to shop.
You know what's funny? I found that on my phone out of nowhere. I'm like, when did I download this? It's been around for like 4 years now. It's an old app.
Yep, but so all these businesses that I would have normally shopped at, now I'm like, oh, hell no, you're not getting one dime.
What is the purpose of it? It's just businesses that promote right-wing policies?
It says pro-life, pro-family, pro-freedom. We believe in all this. Come shop with us. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
It's always dumb for any business, left or right, to get involved in politics because you alienate half of your customers. Dumb idea. I gotta move it on though, folks. Thanks for coming through.
Look at this. Somebody said they reported me. I just love your damn audience.
Oh my God. Thank you, Andy. And Maga Reacts.
That should be blocked.
Who said it?
Just that statement.
Who said it?
Kristen K said, I just reported her for misinformation because everything she said is false.
All right.
Kristen, there's no reporting in this room, honey.
Yeah, we're about free speech here. Thank you, Andy. All right, moving on with the program. And by the way, folks, that is what we're about here is free speech. So all of this, listen, at the end of the day, there's going to be misinformation occasionally when people are passionate in regards to their opinion. Everything that we say about Trump, for Trump, against Trump, it ain't always true. Same thing about the liberals. That's why we have open dialogue to hopefully correct each other as opposed to reporting. What kind of shit is that? I'm assuming that's because MAGA's a big fan of uncensored speech, right? Reporting each other? Who the fuck does that? Tap the screen, you can do that though. I'm trying not to block people, but that certainly will lead to that. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 60,000. Don't report. Yeah, Maga Reacts, thank you. Yeah, why? If someone is stating something that's not accurate, come in the box, you can correct it. If it's right, I'll concede the point, but you don't advance any damn thing by trying to silence people. That's why we have free speech on the program. That's why one reason why people tell me all the time, why the hell do you let MAGA speak or why do you let liberals speak? You don't change anybody's hearts and minds by telling them to shut the fuck up. I think conversation and dialogue suits us all better, even if at the end of the day we don't always agree. It's better for folks to talk to each other than attempt to silence people. And I agree with you, D Blue. Yeah, no report zone. Real quick in the comments, like I said, Republicans will play dumb, act like nothing ever happened quickly and put guardrails back up and play victim to everything the left does, crying about the Constitution. Well, what's Trump got on television that indicated he don't even have to follow the Constitution? Yeah, I wish I could even come close to trying to push back on what you said. After he done that, it kind of verified what you just stated. Shrinkflation. Buy less with more money and profit to the owners and stockholders. Well, when he's talking about you don't need 11 dolls, you can buy 2 and pay more for the 2. That's what he's talking about, shrinkflation right there, where you're literally buying less and paying more for it. Out of all of the things, and we often talk about the fact that, listen, Trump campaigned on what he's doing. So why are the liberals going apeshit? It ain't like he didn't tell you what he was going to do. He didn't talk about you were going to be paying more for less. He didn't campaign on that part right there, where you're going to buy less and you're going to pay more for it. That we're complaining about Biden's economy, but we're okay with that. I don't understand that, by the way. I don't understand how so many folks made it appear as if we were in a period or a stage of desperation under the Biden economy. And once Trump got elected, there was all of a sudden plenty of patience until things got better. But under Biden, we were desperate. Under Trump, well, if it takes a year or two, we can get. To me, it sounds like a lot of blind trust. Hopefully, Trump does what he's promising, but it's just we didn't have the faith in Biden, and we got all sorts of faith in Trump. Hopefully, he delivers. Looking in the comments, Evil Super Majin Boo says Trump ain't shit. Tim, stop trying to float Maga Reacts up. Tim, he ain't nothing. He ain't doing nothing special. Well, Maga Reacts has a difference of opinion. Listen, I enjoy speaking to MAGA, certainly just like I enjoy speaking to folks on the left. I don't think folks on the left always get it right. I don't think folks on the right always get it wrong. So MAGA's welcome on the program as well. But I know he's not necessarily a fan favorite. I do understand that, Evil Super Majin Boo. Unless I was watching Meet the Press on Sunday and I was too damn focused on Christian Walker shoes, fine as hell. No Trump with that ignorant, no talking, look like a toy doll. Yeah, she is good looking. She is good looking. But yeah, Trump had a lot to say in that particular interview on Meet the Press, and I've watched it multiple times. So I just stated, you may have heard of bodegas selling Lucy's, which are single cigarettes, but because of the high cost of eggs across the country, some are now selling eggs outside the carton. You know, you go and buy a Black & Mild, or you go and a Lucy, you want to buy one cigarette instead of the same pack. That's what they call them, Lucy's. What he's saying is places are selling eggs in single. I want to go and buy just 2 eggs. Is eggs really that expensive? You'd have to be really fucking poor. I mean, I get that the price of eggs have went up from, say, $2 a dozen to $5 a dozen. But how many eggs are your family eating? I mean, okay, you're paying I'm just going to tell you, I don't buy eggs enough. Whereas even if it doubled in price, it's going to affect me that much because I just don't buy them that much. I mean, I might buy a dozen of eggs maybe twice a month. Okay, so now instead of paying $6, $4, $6 for those two dozen, now it's $8, $12. It just doesn't. That one item is now. If everything in a grocery store increased like that, that would be something different. But I don't. If you double the price for a dozen of eggs, it just doesn't hurt me. Well, maybe it's me, and I'm not wealthy by any stage of the imagination, but it doesn't hurt me enough that I would have to buy single individual eggs. I just don't buy them enough for that to be the case. Maybe some folks eat a lot of eggs. Depends on if you make things from scratch or not. Great point. Great point. I'm not a baker. That's a great point. That's not the only thing that went up since Miss Mo Better. True, but eggs went up considerably more than anything else. If everything else at the grocery store went up at the same percentage of eggs that eggs have, yeah, we wouldn't be able to afford shit. Eggs went up kind of in the fashion of the Trump tariffs, where you're talking about 145% increase on tariffs coming in from China. Eggs went up like that. So yeah, if everything else in the grocery store, from cereal to butter to frozen pizzas and all that, if everything else in the grocery store went up commensurate to the price of eggs, yeah, it would really be a problem. It would really be a problem. But that fortunately did not happen, and I don't think that's about to happen because we don't get most of our food from places like China. Hoping to help customers in the community, bodegas are now selling 3 eggs for $2.99. which is better than paying $12 for 1 dozen. 3 eggs for $2.98. What about, you know something? I'll just say this. If it got that bad, I would probably consider getting powder eggs or something like that. If it got so bad that I could not afford a dozen of eggs, I would either stop eating eggs or maybe see if I can find an alternative. Three eggs, that's literally $1 per egg. Jeez. I think Trump is trying to bankrupt DC, especially because it's a predominantly black city. Somebody in the comments says, go buy chicken. That may be one way of doing it. Go out and buy chicken. Even powder eggs are high, really? Well, I guess if the price of real eggs go up, I'm not the only one that's thinking about the idea of switching over to powder eggs. So there's probably a bigger demand for powder eggs. So yeah, that would make sense. The price of powder eggs are going up as well. But in regards to you suggesting that Trump is trying to bankrupt DC, especially with it being a predominantly black city, based on what? I'd have to see what are you basing that on. Now, I will say this. That is what Trump's MO, is that if he has a problem with you, he will try to bankrupt you. That's what he did to all of those law firms that had cases against him, whether they were defending Hillary Clinton or hiring Robert Mueller. He went after a bunch of law firms, and that was what he was trying to do, was bankrupt them by taking away their ability to defend their clients. So you remove their clientele, and of course you would bankrupt the law firm. So that is the way he operates. But trying to bankrupt DC? Wow. Looking in the comments, Draco says, Will G ain't shit. Really? Damn. Trump just got a new stadium and NFL draft to DC. Buku bucks for the economy. Is that true? He is saying that, unlike what Will G said, Will G says that Trump is trying to bankrupt DC. Draco counters by saying that Trump just got a new stadium and an NFL draft to DC, which would amount to buku bucks, which is true, but I have not heard that is the case. Really? That would be a huge accomplishment. If Trump is responsible for bringing a new NFL team to DC, that would be a huge accomplishment. But I will say this, and I'm willing to give Trump credit if I believe he deserves it, but I'm going to say this. With Trump, listen, I know I lean left on this shit, so I know my MAGA is going to take it with a grain of salt. But with Trump, I need evidence. Fact is, Trump says a lot of shit that don't always pan out. I'm still waiting for the Haitian migrants that are eating pets. He says a lot of shit that don't pan out. So I'll just say this, if that happens, I'll certainly give him credit. But he often touts all sorts of successes and brags about shit that turns out not to be true. So I need to see it before I just give him credit for it. DC is 42% black and 37% white. Bankrupt the whole city, huh? Damn. Andy, she told Maga Reacts, you tell him to shut up. Andy, thank you. Get 50 points. You are my child. Yeah, Andy was not taking it easy on him. I'll go back to the box real quick, but Will G responds back by saying, Draco ain't shit. 100% sure Trump had nothing to do with the Commanders getting a new stadium. As a matter of fact, the new stadium was already in the works years ago. Get off Trump's backside. Okay, so the Commanders getting a new stadium, the formerly known Redskins. You're saying they're getting a new stadium in D.C., and that was already in the works years ago. Trump has nothing to do with it. I thought it was a new, and I see Andy in the comments says thank you for the fan there, Evil Super Major Blue. Andy did respond to that. Before I go back to the next caller, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything, but I didn't hear that. But you guys going back and forth. Because he said, he did it again. Will G ain't shit, says 100% sure you don't watch the press conference with DC Mayor and Commanders owner today. All you got is lies. Did the mayor of DC, because I believe the mayor of DC is a black woman, if I'm correct, did she give Trump credit for the Commander Stadium coming there? Did she do that? That's really killing me with this. But Will G says, Draco, you definitely ain't shit. God. On January 6, 2025, U.S. President Joe Biden signed the D.C. Robert F. Kennedy Memorial Stadium Campus Revitalization Act into law. So what he's saying is that it was as of Biden on January 6, 2025. So Biden still had about a week or two in office. C. Osby, appreciate the hat and mustache. I'm trying to go to the box, but want to make sure I get all the super chats. These two are going back and forth because Draco says, Will G ain't shit. Says, like I said, all you got is lies. The only transfer administration of the RFK campus from federal to DC city, nothing but lies. I want to hear if that mayor of DC gave Trump credit. That would be a good stick. If the mayor of DC did it, then that would be something. All right, let me go back to the box, and I see the comments. Aaron M says, I'm too scared to chat. Come on over. We'll certainly bring you up, Aaron. Doesn't matter what your politics is. We don't block, ban, or censor. So understand that if you come up, you will be given the right to speak here. We certainly do not try to limit someone because they got adverse politics. You can be critical of anyone on the show. We operate in an uncensored format. Deboo, good evening. Welcome to the program. But I would like to hear if the mayor of DC gave Trump credit for that stadium. That would clear things up. Deboo 752, good evening.
What's going on, Tim?
Not much at all. Good. Appreciate you holding. I saw you in there. But we're talking about everything from Trump claiming that the price of gas is $1.89 a gallon or 98 cents a gallon or whatever the case may be, to a child doesn't need as many toys this Christmas. And did you catch that Meet the Press interview, by the way? You catch any of that?
I'm not sure.
I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about, because I would like to get your opinion on this, because maybe it's going on in your area, not in my area, and apparently not in the area of other viewers. But I do want you to hear this one piece. This is Trump yesterday. Meet the Press was a yesterday. He did an interview yesterday. This was televised.
On a trade deficit with China for things we don't need, for junk that we don't need.
Well, prices are already going up on some popular items. Tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already. Prices are down on groceries. Prices are down for oil. Prices are down for all energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline. And let me tell you, when you have the big thing, what he did, he spent like a stupid person, which he was, but he spent like a very stupid person, and that was bad for inflation. But what really killed us with inflation was the price of energy. It went up to $3.90, even $4, and in California, $5 and $6, right? Okay. I have it down to $1.98 in many states right now.
Is that happening in your neck of the woods, $1.98 a gallon?
First of all, I don't understand why he has to be so disrespectful about everything. But no, I mean, I could confidently say that there are some very few things that have gone down in price, but not anywhere near what he's saying.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, there are a lot of products that have gone up in price as well. And a lot of products that aren't flowing in at a normal rate.
What have you seen go up in price under the Trump administration?
I mean, yeah, eggs, obviously, that's the obvious one. But I would say...
Wait, what was the obvious one? I didn't hear you.
Eggs.
Eggs.
What everybody's talking about, obviously.
Yeah.
But, you know, honestly, everything from pet food, electronics especially, are going up right now. But yeah, you got pet food, you got everyday appliances.
I see somebody in the comments says
medicine, cleaning products. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that people don't think about when these tariffs and how they're affecting things. I feel like most people think of it as basic necessities like food. They don't think about all of the other stuff that you need around your house.
Let me ask you this. Do you blame, okay, because some of things are going up. Do you believe that this is just an uptick that was coming from the Biden economy, or do you blame Trump for the rise in prices?
As far as the eggs, a lot of it had to do with the bird flu. I can be honest about that.
Okay.
But as far as everything else, it's, in my opinion, a direct reflection of the tariffs that he's implementing and just the kind of sporadic way that he's doing it.
Okay, because he was asked about whose economy it is. I want you to hear this.
Thousands of eggs, and they were down 87%.
Yeah, a lot of that, of course, spike was because of bird flu. But when does it become the Trump economy?
Why do you say that?
Well, tell me,
we had the same bird flu as he had.
When does it become the Trump economy?
It partially is right now. And I really mean this. I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy, because he's done a terrible job. He did it.
So the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
Yeah, that's just classic Trump. He doesn't take responsibility for anything.
Well, but did you hear what he said about the price of eggs? He did take responsibility for that.
Kind of.
I want you to hear this, because you said eggs went up in price. Listen to what he says about eggs.
You sit down. Yeah. Eggs. You were the one that asked me. You asked me about eggs. It was the first week. I didn't even know anything about what were you talking about. Egg prices were so high you couldn't buy eggs. They didn't have any eggs, and they said Easter is going to be a disaster. Well, we had Easter at the White House, and we had thousands of eggs, and they were down 87%.
Yeah, a lot.
So he's saying eggs are down significantly.
No.
87%. Holy
87%. What would that be like? That'd be like
pretty cheap eggs.
2 cents a dozen. If it was.
It would be pretty cheap. I don't know what they originally were costing in his area, but an 87% drop would be something to celebrate.
Have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
No, but I've had people recommend it to me.
Oh, you got to watch it. You have to watch it, and you need to make a whole episode on that. You need to. I mean,
where do you? Is it on Netflix?
I'm not sure if it's on Netflix right now, but you can find it on Amazon. Hell, you could probably find it on YouTube for free these days.
Okay, because I see Mr. Mobetta's even saying yes, Tim, watch it. I'll have to check it out, but. To me, I'm more in you ever seen The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy?
No, I haven't actually. I'm gonna write that down.
I would recommend. He went to Washington as a con man to become a congressman, and I would advise you to watch that. It's comical, but it has a lot in relations to this as well. It's called The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, Idiocracy is a comedy as well. And it's pretty over the top, but you can definitely still draw some parallels to what's going on. Basically about a guy that he does like an experiment where he's frozen for, I don't know, like 20, 25 years, something like that. And when he's unfrozen, he basically learns that the world has been retarded. So, in his time, he was a very average person, intellectually. And so, when he wakes up from this hypersleep or whatever, he's the smartest person in the world because the population is so dumb. But the thing is you can already start drawing parallels from that movie with what's going on right now.
Wow. Are you suggesting that part of our population is becoming dumb?
Not just part of a large majority. I mean, look at how popular meme culture is. Just meme culture in general. Oh. People gravitate towards stupid shit these days.
Yeah, we've become very cruel, in my opinion. Certainly insulting toward each other, but we don't seem to give it. That's why I have a pushback against the notion that if you bring manufacturing to America, people are going to buy American-made goods, even if it costs more, which is what Trump is talking about. Like, we don't give a damn about our fellow Americans. What makes you think we're going to patronize their business if it costs more to do so?
If you really wanted to make Americans happy, just slap a "Made in America" sticker on everything that's not, and just. I mean,
well, I guess they would pass a law to stop that. You can't put an "Made in America" label on something that's not made in America.
Oh, I just mean that's all they care about. They just care about the label, the quality.
Yeah, and Americans, and Americans don't. Americans care about what's the cheapest price. How do I make my check, my dollar stretch further? If it means buying shit from China that I can afford, as opposed to buying something like the whole Trump statement about buying $2 instead of 11. Most Americans that are living check to check is going to go the 11 route. They're not going to go. You might have 3 or 4 kids at home. You're not going to go the 2 route. You're going to go the 11 route.
Such an insane thing to say as a billionaire, too.
Yeah, one that has his own commercial airliner and gold toilets in his house is telling a little kid you don't need as many toys to play with. Yeah, it does look a bit hypocritical.
And it goes back to the meme culture thing. One of the reasons this is so acceptable these days is people's brains are rotted by meme culture.
Well, I mean,
people like the most. How do I put this? They like their information presented to them in the most ridiculous ways possible.
But let me ask you this, because despite a lot of the criticism that is often leveled at President Trump, his poll numbers are still better than the Democratic Party. Does the Democratic Party suck just that bad that they can say all this negative stuff about Trump, yet they still are behind him in the polls? Why is that? Even we're talking about the economy right now, for instance. We're talking about the tariffs. And even though all of that exists, Trump still is beating the Democrats in the polls. Why is that?
The party needs personality. I feel like the Democratic Party is kind of just stuck out here without, people don't really know what their values are right now. And I also think that they're just not very, I heard you talk about it too. They're just not very good at pushing the messages that they want to push.
Yeah.
I get. It's not that they have bad policies. It's more they don't understand how to present that to people. Yeah. In this day and age.
I've given Trump credit, and a lot of my liberal viewers don't like when I say this, but I do give him credit. He does go on television and talk to the people daily. I mean, like literally daily, almost every single day. Trump has talked to somebody in front of Marine One or Air Force One or on Air Force One, or he held, a press conference was held by Caroline, Leave It or whatever her name. I mean, his people, his message is getting out there. And under the Biden administration, you just didn't hear from him.
Yeah, I think the Biden administration could have done a much better job being a little more transparent.
Well,
yeah, I mean, are you on Twitter? I still call it Twitter.
I think I have it. I don't ever use it. I think I do though. I'm using, I'm more Instagram and Clapper for this show, but I don't think, for instance, I don't think I can go live on Twitter, so I've never tried to use it.
You might be able to these days. I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that. But the White House official page has been posting some of the most insane shit. They've been posting ASMR videos. So they had a couple nights ago, they posted a live video that played for 24 hours straight. It was ASMR of Donald Trump signing bills as a cartoon. And then I think it was yesterday, they put up an ASMR of illegal immigrants walking in chains.
Wow.
And then they put up a ASMR of kind of the same thing, but it had Closing Time playing over it. The song Closing Time.
Okay. with an immigrant walking in chains.
Yeah. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, I think I've seen the news story about that. Listen, I don't know why he does that other than to get attention, and that's kind of stuff is the cruelty of MAGA is going to love it, and the sympathetic, empathetic side of the liberal party is going to hate it. And it sounds to me like that type of infighting and division. It sounds like that's literally what he is seeking.
Yeah, I think he's a Russian asset, honestly.
Yeah. Damn.
I think he has been for. Yeah, I know.
You think Trump is you said you think Trump is a Russian asset?
Yeah, I mean he's been owned by Russia all the way, dating back since he had some of his first casinos. Where do you think he got the money from originally?
Well, he's been talking about sanctioning Russia and doing negative things to Russia lately. I mean, he's been seen on TV with Zelensky at the Pope's funeral. I mean, he's starting to get a little bit more friendlier to Zelensky now.
Could be theatric.
Could be.
I know that the people have been hot on his tail a little bit about this whole Russia thing.
Yeah.
He's had multiple Russian spies in his own administration now. That's starting to look a little bit fishy.
A Russian asset. I got to move it on, but damn, a Russian asset. Really? You think that bad, huh?
Even Pete Hegseth has been linked back to Russian money here recently.
I just wish I knew how to make money from these guys. I'm telling you, regardless of what you think about them, their inner circle is getting filthy rich. There has to be some kind of way to make money. I mean, because listen, everything they're doing is not on the up and up, but we know it's making people money. I mean, whether it's his Bitcoin, he's giving out insider trader information. If you're in his inner circle and you're not making money, you're doing something wrong. I got to move it on, though, D-Boo. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care.
You too. Appreciate it. Thanks for holding, by the way. He just talked. He ain't doing nothing to Russia. Well, now, and you're not the only one I've heard say that, but he is threatening them. I mean, I think the sanctions we got on Russia are pretty damn strict because he's talking about banking sanctions and things like that. I don't think we really are doing much with them anyway. So you're right. It could just be talk. Maybe Trump's advisors told him the truth about how the war started. You needed an advisor to tell you that shit? Really? The mayor of D.C. and Assembly is majority black. The whole city is royal blue. Trump doesn't like none of that. So Trump has the V for vendetta. Trump likes vendettas. I'm not going to argue that. He's saying that all of D.C. is either, I mean, there's a large black population in the District of Columbia, but he's also saying that it is a very blue city. And that alone can lead Trump to have a vendetta on that. So, want blood from that city. We've seen evidence of that. We've seen Trump go after liberal cities in several instances. So that's possible. I remember during COVID, they had a hospital ship and Trump was trying to hold up the hospital ship from giving aid to the folks in Seattle or something like that because he didn't like the mayor there. So yeah, if he don't like you, he's big on revenge. He's definitely big on revenge. Tim is the shit. Okay, I like that. I like that. That wasn't what I wanted to hit, but thank you. He says Tim is the shit. Show the program some love and let's give a shout out. Give a shout out, Tim. Jerry. Thank you, Evil Super Amazing Boo. I appreciate the compliment. Continuing on with the program, though. Will G says Draco ain't shit. Reading is fundamental, and Google is your friend. I gave you the facts, but that MAGA education is holding you back. Damn, and I see a bunch of people click like on that statement from Will G. On April 28th, the Commanders owner, DC mayor and NFL commissioner announced plans to build a 65,000 seat covered roof stadium pending approval by the Council of D.C. with hearing scheduled for July 2nd. And he said that happened on April 28th. So I'm assuming that would have been April. Was that April 28th a few days ago? Or April 28th of 2024? Because obviously April 28th was during the Trump administration. But he does say that they, the commander's owner and the DC mayor and the NFL commissioner announced plans to build a 65,000 seat covered stadium. If it's in 2025, I don't, like I said, I'd have to see somebody giving Trump credit. My guess is that, Will, you're probably more correct in regards to suggesting that ain't something you do quickly. I mean, Trump's only been in office for a short period of time. Most likely, if you're building a big-ass stadium like that, they've been discussing that for a minute. I mean, Trump's only been in office for 3 months. If he moves so fast, he got a stadium approved. That's a big accomplishment by President Trump, but that don't sound like something they move that quick on. When did we have 25% tariffs like we do now? Do your research. I don't get what you're saying, the ability to clear. Tim, how are we supposed to be wealthy because of tariffs? I don't know. I'm going to be candid on that. If I don't know some shit, I'll tell you that. But Trump is saying that if we impose tariffs, it's going to make the country wealthy. Here's my opinion on it. It's just like with the Elon Musk alleged Doge findings of savings. It ain't going to make you rich. It's going to make the elite in this country wealthy. But, look, if all of a sudden we bring back manufacturing jobs in this country, which is what Trump is talking about doing, most of us that are here watching me right now, most of us in this discussion, it ain't going to help any. How many of us are going to work those jobs? What's going to happen is you and me, all of us now that we're well into our adult years, we're going to pay all of the tariffs and the increased cost of goods and services because of the tariffs until the manufacturing come back, which is the manufacturing is supposed to be the reward at the end of the tunnel. The suffering inside the tunnel is the high price we pay for goods and services until the manufacturing come back. You and I, voters of age, I'm Gen X, we're going to pay the high cost of the tariffs. When the jobs come back, we're not working that shit. I'm already in my mid-50s damn near. I'm not going to be working that shit. So I'm going to pay the tariffs to bring it back. But that's stuff, if this happens the way Trump is saying he wants it to happen, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say it go down the way he wants it to go down. Then it'll benefit future generations at the cost of the current one. So we're going to pay the cost, but we're not going to benefit from it. By the time the manufacturing and all that shit comes back to America in a significant way, I'll probably be looking at retirement. I'm not going to be working any of those jobs. That's for future generations. I'm just going to be suffering through the tariffs and the high price of goods and services while that's happening. So I'm only getting the negative. I'm not going to see the positive. If, with emphasis on if, the positive part of it ever happens at all. So just understand that. So when you say we're going to get rich, no, I'm not going to get rich. You're not going to get rich. If it happens the way Trump is suggesting, people in the future will benefit. But I don't believe working at a manufacturing job falls under the category of getting rich in any way, shape, or form. If he brings manufacturing back to the country, then you work at a manufacturing, that ain't getting rich. The people that are getting rich are people like him and people that are close in his circle. You're not going to get rich under any of that. Looking in the comments, though, retired workers will work them jobs at lower wages. Yep, maybe. But like I said, once again, that's not getting rich either. No, I don't think anybody in America is going to get rich. But like I said, the folks that are at those upper levels. Let me go to Nicole. Try it again. I think I clicked on it. Or maybe the box is frozen. I think this TikTok is acting goofy here. Social Security is not going to be around while I'm 69. And you're hearing people starting to talk that way. I heard today that one of the airports out there, I can't remember which airport it was. I was watching the World News Tonight with David Muro on ABC. Apparently, one of the airports, and planes have been dropping out of the sky constantly over the last 3 months or so. I don't know what happened in America about 3 months ago, but since over the last 3 months or so, we've had a lot of aircraft incidents, many of them fatal. Apparently today, a major airport for 90 seconds lost all contact with everything going around the airport. The radars dropped out and all frequencies dropped out. So for 90 seconds, the control tower couldn't see, planes coming in on final approach, planes on the runway taking off, and they had no frequency contact. You ever see Die Hard 2? If you've ever seen the second Die Hard, it's a winter plot. It's in the winter time, and they're using an airport. It almost sounds something crazy like that, like somebody literally hijacked the airport or something. But for 90 seconds, they had no communication at a major American airport. You could have had all kinds of shit. 90 seconds don't seem like a long time, but when you're talking about planes coming in for a landing, 200 miles an hour or more, you can travel a long way in 90 seconds in an aircraft. So for 90 seconds, they had no frequencies, so they couldn't get on the radio and communicate with anybody, and they lost all radar. So if two planes were heading toward each other, and they could give, they can tell them the, TCAS, which is a collision avoidance. They couldn't do anything for 90 seconds. Now, it does appear as if the Trump administration is going to begin hiring air traffic controllers. Now, they swore up and down the FAA terminations they did under Elon Musk and Doge had nothing to do with all the planes crashing and nothing to do with air traffic controllers. But all of a sudden now they're hiring. It's going to tell you, it's pretty coincidental that you do this massive amount of firing and all of a sudden this industry starts having all kinds of problems and suddenly you're hiring again. They'll never tell you, but my guess is they fired people that they needed. They actually got rid of people that they needed. And you may or may not know about it until you get another administration. Because right now, a lot of people are fearful of speaking up because the Trump administration will go after you. So, a lot of folks don't want to, just like all of these law firms that are getting sued, the law firms don't want to speak because the Trump administration may go after you. But future administration, you'll probably hear what happened with the FAA. But it does sound like they terminated too many people and now they're having mishaps. Yes, it was last week and Trump pops in today like he's been on it the whole time, like he does at everything. But the old stadium has been in deconstruction since 2023. So yes, it has been in the works. And that, to me, I would probably think you don't just build an old 65,000 seat stadium in a span of 3 months. You just don't move that quick. It's a good chance that stadium was already in the works. I remember when in Chicago, when the White Sox got rid of their stadium and built another one right next to it. I mean, it's not something that happens right away like that. Don't let MAGA fluff you into giving Trump credit for stadium and draft. He really had jack squat to do it. Well, like I said, if the mayor of DC said it, then I would be willing to acknowledge it, but I don't think that's going to happen. So we'll see. Need to cut some flights, says Jen. No, you don't need to cut flights. You didn't need to cut flights under Biden. The ATC and the FAA was not having problems under Biden. You don't need to cut flights. You need to stop cutting people. The system was running fine under Biden. All of a sudden, well, I won't say fine. There were some problems, but it's running considerably worse under Trump. There is no denying that air traffic in this country under Trump is less safe than it was under Biden. So I don't think you really need to cut flights. You need to stop cutting people. That's where the problem is. Trump, via Elon Musk, just went on a firing spree. And there are other federal departments out there like that. It's just not going to involve planes dropping out of the sky. But they have created internal chaos in other departments. I mean, this whole measles bullshit that's going around is another example where Kennedy is not doing this damn job in that area. More and more American citizens are catching the measles. That wasn't happening under Biden. Now, all of a sudden, under Trump, you got hundreds of people breaking out with the fucking measles. So we can talk about eggs, but the stuff we're talking about now, measles and the FAA, people are dying from that stuff. This is stuff that's causing people's lives. It ain't, paying a few extra bucks for a dozen of eggs. People are dying from this shit. A couple kids died from the measles. So I don't know. I mean, but right now, as it stands, people are still giving the Trump administration an A+. Some of my beloved MAGA is. Nevertheless, folks, I do appreciate the 57,000 on the likes. You know what time it is. Your boy got to get up in the morning for his day job just like everybody else. I didn't promote you folks to really tap the screen, but certainly thank you for the small amount that came in. How about building a high-speed rail system? I would like that, Chris. I think that would be a great idea to build a high-speed rail system across the country. That's something they've been dreaming about doing from forever. They talked about doing it in Cali. They've talked about doing it on the East Coast. It just has never culminated into anything. But that would be, I think that if Elon Musk was telling the truth about all the waste, fraud, and abuse they've found and saved, shit, that's probably enough to build one. I mean, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. The guy's claiming he saved America almost $1 trillion. Put your money where your mouth is and show us you can do something with it. Now, if he'd done something like that, that would be a huge accolade you got to give Trump credit for. If all of a sudden he saved a ton of waste, fraud, and abuse and walked away from 4 years in office by saying, I built America's first, intercontinental or transcontinental, whatever the hell you want to call it, high-speed railway, that would be huge. That would be huge. Use Elon Musk's savings and get rid of that fucking parade in D.C. and build a railroad with it. That would be huge. But I agree with you in the comments, Lady E. The savings are probably not genuine. I do agree with you. Anyhow, folks, I do appreciate the high speed to nowhere. That's what's been happening. If anybody can do it, Trump can do it, right? As Will Sims says, MAGA, 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 MAGA. Nevertheless, I do got to step away. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. As always, you know what I say. If you enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, follow the program. If you're on TikTok or Instagram, we're here Monday through Friday generally. Follow the program. If you're on YouTube, feel free to give your boy a subscription. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body on the program. And of course, as I always hold up, we are MAGA friendly. Despite right now, we have been critical of Trump a lot lately. He is the president. He is saying controversial shit. The economy is taking a downturn. So right now, if you're watching anything on social media that is always complimentary of Trump, in the middle of what's going on right now, you're watching fake news. You can talk about MSNBC or CNN, but if you're watching a news outlet and right now in the middle of what's going on now, it's always speaking favorably of Trump, that's fake news. I'm not saying you got to bash the guy all the time, but right now, there's plenty to criticize, up to and including him going on his social media platform and sending out a picture of himself as the Pope, while millions of people worldwide are still mourning the death of the Pope. If that's not coming up, but you heard folks criticizing Zelensky for showing up to the Oval Office without wearing a suit and tie, or even going back as far as Obama in a tan suit, but they're not saying shit about this, you need to rethink the network you're watching. Just think about that. So anyway, I do appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and step away. You guys take and have a good night. Catch you tomorrow. And thank you folks that are on YouTube as well. But, got to get up and go to work.